All right, we good now.
Hold on. 10 seconds. It's loading up.
I guess we might have to work an intro in here at some point in time, right?
Yeah, at some point, yeah.
All right, we live. So we opening up with the definition of the talented 10th made popular by W.E. Du Bois.
Yeah, what exactly is that? The talented 10th, huh? So my understanding of it, the talented 10th, as described by W.E.B. Du Bois, is the top 10% of the Negro race who are destined to outwork everybody else, be better than everybody else, and then become doctors, lawyers, nurses, uh, military folks, generals, all of these things that you would think of that white society would be coming out of what the Reconstruction era. So his definition is bootstrapping the race, the Negro race, and pointing them towards white collar work. So where did this theory come from? So I kind of took a look at that. I was looking at that all week. It was a fascinating journey too, man. I found out a lot about a lot of different things. I really found out about W.E.B. Du Bois, but this talented 10th theory is something I think that kind of plagues, believe it or not, our race, man. I think we have problems with this talented 10th thing because we have this separation of thought processes. I think, we have people that really think that by proximity that they're better than other people, and I'm trying to figure out how are you better if we all down here scrapping, trying to get a little bit of equality out of this thing, but in learning out a little bit more about W.E.B. Du Bois, he had to actually come back because he put this theory out in like 1903. He lived a long life too. Props to him for living a long life. He was a dapper fella too. I don't know if you ever seen pictures of him. He was always pressed to the just death. But he came back later on in like late 1930s, and he was trying to clean that thing up because what I think happened, and history is the measure, right? A lot of people got that talented 10th thing kind of mixed up. We built all these fraternities, sororities, Freemasonry. We had all these little societies of folks, black elites, so all of this is going on. And we got built-in systems killing everybody else. But we got these folks over here with this talented 10th thing, all these the Greek letter fraternities are probably gonna hate me because I don't get down with them like that, man. I really don't. Sororities and masonry, I don't understand that because my thing is we still have problems at the bottom. But we got all these built-in elite systems, if you will. And at the same time, we're still struggling with the systems that was built in this country to keep everybody else out. So I see those guys as like gatekeepers. I really have a problem with it, man.
Wow.
Well, I gotta say that you speaking truth. That's for sure. That's one of the things I respect about you. Mill told me that you had been doing some research on W.E. Du Bois, so I really didn't know what your perspective was aside from the fact that you have been doing some research. And I gotta say that speaking truth, man. Like that's like the concept of the talented tenth in terms of educating Black people to rise up. In theory, is a good idea, but in practice, like you said, it definitely creates a sense of separatism. This bourgeois elitist mentality. Um, and then, I'm looking at, I Googled the definition. It says the talented tenth is a term that designated a leadership class of African descendant Americans in the early 20th century. The term was created by a white northern philanthropist.
Yes.
I mean, for me, right, that's where it begins and ends right there.
Yeah, exactly.
For me personally, that's where it begins and ends right there. I mean, we can break it down, but
Why?
I mean,
why?
Right, exactly. I've been down this road.
But it's some complexity there. I mean, I think
absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
It's some complexity there.
My point is that looking over what all of those that came before me have gone through and what I've gone through, I've reached a point where for me, the realization has become, Caucasians can no longer be allowed to define who we are. Point blank, period. We have to define ourselves. You talked about the Greek fraternities. That's the first flaw that I see in the Greek fraternity is that in its identification process, it takes us to a place that is not of our origin. And that's not to say that there weren't blacks in Greece, because there was. But, again, in practice, it takes us mentally to a different place. Now, in terms of networking and educating yourself and all that, stuff that we should be doing anyway. I don't need really a term or anything like that. I don't need really to follow anybody's philosophy to understand that. That's the basics. You know what I mean? And I know in my research and learning about W.E.B. Du Bois, I know one of the things that I discovered was his feud with Marcus Garvey.
I want to get into that as well.
Yeah. Hey, you can start off with, you can set it off.
Oh, really, it's in my opinion anyway. That's all it is an opinion. Is I think you got a little bit of. I learned this word this week, man. Pigmentocracy. Basically, what it means is color struck. So you got W.E.B. Du Bois. He's high yellow white mulatto, right? You got Marcus Garvey, who's a very dark Caribbean man. So they got differences of opinion, but it all starts with that right there. The color of their skin was a big thing for both of them. From what I understand, in any of the interactions that they had in speaking about themselves speaking about the other to another person, that was one of the things that they talked about. How can this big black or this this high yellow, almost white man talk to me, or vice versa? So it kind of started off really with that right there. They both had problems with skin tone. So, and in defining pigmentocracy is basically is a socioeconomic status applied to people who are most like white folks. So the closer you are to white folks, the better you're treated. So that's what really was the number one issue that I saw with them. Color.
I was telling Mill about this this quote that I heard recently where a lecturer was saying black people, a lot of black people are not interested in being free. They're more interested in being equal to white people. And there's a difference. And I understand that difference. You know what I mean? We grow up looking at white people experiencing the greater portions of what the planet has to offer, and we want a piece of that for ourselves. And a lot of us achieve some of that status, but at the same time, we're still not free. You know, rappers can wear diamonds in their foreheads and all type of shit, but at the same time, niggas are still out here getting shot up by the police. You know what I mean? And they subject to a similar reality. You know what I mean? So I mean, at the end of the day, for me personally, I've learned to take the meat and throw away the bones. When it comes to the elders that came before me, because ultimately it's about how can I get free. I don't want to just be equal to white folks. For me, this whole experience is more than just materialistic gain. Even though that's a part of it, a part of my freedom is reclaiming what I feel like was stolen. At the same time, for me, the definition of freedom is much greater than just being on a level or a status of being equal to white people. There's so much more to it than that. In fact, I don't even hold white people to such a standard. I feel like I gotta reach what they have. You know what I mean?
I'm kind of with you on that, man. I really, I'm like lockstep in with you. I haven't heard that quote before, but I've felt that quote, because the reality is you shouldn't want to be equal. You should want to be free. Bottom line,
right?
Free from all of whatever. Just free. Just I don't even want to be in proximity with you or whatever. That's freedom. Right. Freedom to choose.
Culture freedom is a part of it.
Absolutely.
We still got to get permission from white people by way of laws to wear our hair the way it naturally grows and be seen as professional. You know what I mean? We got to get permission. We got to get laws written that say they won't discriminate against us wearing our hair in natural hairstyles. I mean, our women, man, that's a segue into a whole. I was reserved about bringing this up, but our women are going through it in terms of lack of cultural freedom that we're able to express, where now they're doing whatever they can in order to how they say, fry, dye, lay to the side, whatever you got to do so that your hair don't appear nappy. You know what I mean? So that your hair doesn't appear in its natural sense. The segue that I was bringing up is the Gorilla Glue girl. I mean, some people feel like it's such a superficial topic that it's not even worthy of talking about.
It's deeper than that, though.
It's so much deeper than that, man.
$1 billion business.
It's so much deeper than that. And as superficial as it is, and as easy it is for me to write it off and say she's stupid and she was dumb for that, it's deeper than that. There's a pain that I feel that goes a lot deeper than just what's on the surface. And it's the fact that black women, I mean black men too, but just as black people, as indigenous people, we don't have culture freedom. We don't have freedom to express our culture in its natural sense without it being seen as less than or unprofessional or nasty or unkept or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The point where we've reached the point where black women are putting industrial grade glue in their hair
to keep it down.
Keep it down.
To keep it down. Yeah, bro. That's the hair industry is a $1 billion business.
Oh man.
And we are the targets of that $1 billion business, man, and we don't own it. We don't own it, man.
And the fact of the matter is, none of this would be an issue if women were allowed to feel comfortable and professional in work environments. I asked some women this question about weaves and all of that. The main answer that I got, honestly, had nothing to do. I haven't had one woman say to me, I wear my hair in a weave or with a wig because of job purposes. That's more something that I observe on my own. Most women have said to me, the main answer that I got is because that's what men like. And it's weird because when I talk to men, it's actually quite the opposite. It's more like that's what men tolerate. You know what I mean?
Oh, that is deep.
But I think overall, many people in our communities, we've just been conditioned. Women have just been trained to try to take on the look of a Barbie doll, so to speak. And as men, we see this so much on covers of magazines, on Instagram models, and all of that. It becomes our norm too. You know what I mean? For
Programming.
me, right, exactly. For me, I never reached that point where it became a norm because I've just seen so much trauma. I remember as a kid watching my mother take her braids out before she would go on a job interview just to perm her hair, to look a certain way. You know what I mean? As a child, believe it or not, watching that was traumatizing. It was enlightening at the same time. Like I could see, like, okay, she's comfortable wearing her braids around the neighborhood, around other black people. You know what I mean? Or her everyday walk. But when it comes to going to work, you got to straighten that thing out. Right then and there, I saw, like, wait a minute, man, it's something. You know what I mean? We got to alter ourselves in order to fit in, and that's a problem.
Yeah, it's
Wearing her braids around the neighborhood, around other black people.
yeah, it's depressing. I mean, the way you've just described it, I'm depressed listening to that. But the reality is we live in it. That's crazy. You know, I'm depressed listening to that, but we live in it. So what does that make us? If I'm depressed listening to it and we live in it.
Make us a community that's on the receiving end of warfare, of imposed warfare, psychological warfare.
You know what's ironic is I'll tie this in with what you just said. I can only take so much of the trials. I want to know what's going on. So I'll sit in. I do about an hour. That's all I can do is an hour. And I see all these quote unquote eloquent, passionate. There's a couple other words we could put in there. These folks are up here talking about all of these things that are quote unquote unpatriotic, un-American, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The real bottom line is the folks that went to the Capitol are afraid of the upcoming change to this country.
Okay, we're talking about the impeachment trial.
Right. So
Okay.
So they're skirting around what the big issue is. There's a major percentage, with 70 something million folks who voted. They don't want the change in power structure that's coming. So that's what that's all about. All these eloquent, sweet speeches, all these things these passionate displays of patriotism and all these things that they're saying. At the core of that, there's a big segment of this country that wants to stay lockstep with the 50s or whatever the basic founding of this country is: blood, tears, and sweat, and white privilege.
Right. One of the things I established early in all of this is that Caucasians are at war amongst themselves. They've definitely been at war against us as a people, but they've reached a point where they're at war with themselves as well now. And so immediate, there's an old saying, I don't know where it originated. Some people say Napoleon said it. I don't know where it originated, maybe with Napoleon, but it's an old saying that says, never interrupt the enemy when he's making a mistake. You know what I mean? That's my position with this whole impeachment, Donald Trump, running up on the Capitol, and all the stuff that Caucasians are doing, man. You know what I mean? The Bible teaches that a family divided amongst itself will never stand strong. And so watching Caucasians wage war amongst each other and amongst themselves is a perfect opportunity for me to get the focus on myself and become stronger. Just step to the side and let them do what they're going to do. You know what I mean? Because if you got an adversary that outnumbers you, stronger than you You know what I mean? And that adversary is divided against itself. It's best to stand back and let them break each other down. You know what I mean? And build yourself up in the process. And I think that's where we at with this whole thing. We know they full of shit. All their whole concept of patriotism. You know, you used the word depressed, and I'm glad you said that, because I came into this conversation feeling away. And I have to ask myself sometimes, like, damn, am I being overly sensitive? You know, but this week I just been witnessing things and contemplating things. It's just like, damn, you know what I mean? But when it comes to them talking the whole language, patriotism, law, everything they talk about, everything they say and do is an illusion. You know what I mean? Their law is an illusion. You know what I'm saying? So many examples that we can bring up. The fact that marijuana is making billions of dollars now, and you know what I mean? I remember it was a time where I was considered the hardcore kingpin drug dealer or a nickel bag of weed, taking me to jail for that. You know what I'm saying? They full of contradictions and hypocrisies. And you know what I mean? While we can sit around and talk about it and call it all out, it's just at a point now where all those hypocrisies are starting to turn back on them.
Yeah, that's big. You're right. It's
No,
like the enemy faces the enemy, right? And the enemy is the twin of the enemy.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the perfect time for us as black men specifically, but as black people as a community, us to contemplate what's taking place against us up until this point. You know, because honestly, they treat us like we already defeated. They treat us like we a non-issue. You know what I'm saying? So this is the perfect time to look at everything that's happened, specifically in my time period. You know, we talk about crack, we talk about psychological warfare, chemical warfare, all of what has happened and how it's affected us on an individual level. You know what I mean? And deal with that accordingly, whether you need to see a therapist, whatever form of therapy you need to do. This is the time for us to get strong as individuals. So when we call to come together as a collective, we can do so. Ramil and I just had a conversation. I said to Ramil recently, we was having a conversation about sex, right? And one of the things that I said in the conversation was that just like our minds have been colonized, our sexual behaviors have been colonized, you know, and that turned into a very interesting conversation, because that's something that we don't really explore, talk about. I think that whether we talking about sex, culture, everything, our minds, our thought process, so much that we do that, that comes from someone else defining how we should do it. You know what I mean? And we have to begin to rearrange and rethink and reevaluate in order to rise up as gods and goddesses on this planet and reclaim our throne.
Yeah, sex is man, that's an industry, man. We were the first industry. You know, I can laugh about that, but it's not a laugh, ha ha. It's the reality is outside of the cotton industry and the sugar industry and all the industries that were built with colonialism, you got to throw that in there as well.
Sex industry, that's one of the things that often gets overlooked, man. And it plays a heavy part in how we perpetuate, how we operate, how we behave towards one another today. You know what I mean? You know, you got the story of Sarah Burton, which my thought process is that if we know about that one story, there probably was many more. But in that story, she was put in a zoo, a cage, like a zoo animal, just because she had a fat ass, and put on display. Now that's the norm for black women. You dig what I'm saying? You know, I've been in situations with women that feel insecure just because they might not look like that. It runs that deep. You know what I mean? And I've had to remind some women of how beautiful they are, whether or not you know what I mean, built like Sarah Burton or Nicki Minaj. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's to a point where, you know, a lot of women define their beauty based off of that alone. You know what I mean? And granted, I'm not, you know, one of the things that we talked about in our conversation was, one of the things I said was that for me, it's not about, I don't want to go down the lane of what's right and what's wrong. Then the conversation gets lost. I'm more interested in just understanding the source of why we behave the way we behave. And if it's attached to any type of European colonialism,
There you go.
then I have to begin to rethink and readdress, you know, how it affects me and what I've learned to accept as normal. And then from there, I can rebuild and repair my culture.
Well, I've said it before, man. We only what? We're not even 100 years past atrocities that were, you know, the atrocities of the 1920s and 30s and 40s and 50s. These things were real, man. These things were real. And unfortunately, sex was huge in a lot of these atrocities, man. Listen, when they strung up any black man, they cut off his nuts, man. They cut off his nuts and they carried the shit home, bro. As a souvenir. I can't even say nothing else beyond that, but it illustrates my point, man. The atrocities that happen are not so far gone. We're only in what, 2021.
Right.
We're still trying to deal with a lot of that stuff, and we're not past that.
Not at all.
We still use terms, man, that are straight slave terms. Young buck.
Damn.
You know, cotton picking hands, and you know, just things that we think. You ever think like, where did that come from? Like on my, you know, on my birthday post, the brother said, "Congratulations or happy birthday, young buck." First thing I thought of, you know, that's the term that, you know, that's a slave term.
Which brings us into the term buck breaking.
Buck breaking.
You know, we talked about Sarah Burton and the correlation between that and Nicki Minaj. You know what I mean? We got to get into the concept of buck breaking and, you know, artists of today. You know what I mean? Like Lil Uzi Vert and, you know what I mean? Different artists that'll wear a dress and a skirt, you know what I mean? And the pocketbook and all these feminine characteristics like Riley on Boondocks. You know what I mean? You know, buck breaking is crazy because we talk, you know, and bringing up Sarah Burton and buck breaking, these were things that were forced upon us. You know, like you said, we're not that far removed from it. And now it's to a point where culturally people are volunteering for it. You don't have to, they don't have to force it. All they do is pay us. You know what I mean? They sign a paycheck for somebody that's willing to do it. If you're willing to come out here and represent the concept of we'll pay you. You know what I mean? And this is how they've infiltrated our culture, our music. You know what I mean? Like now people are volunteering to fill these roles. And then what they do is they magnify it through the media and it becomes the trend. It becomes the norm.
What was that? GQ put out a magazine called The New Masculinity, and they had the brother, I forget his name, man, but he was on the cover with like a weird like unisex type outfit. And you know, in the article, he basically was parroting what new masculinity is. It doesn't have a definition anymore. It's whatever you want it to be. I'm like, what? So now we wear dresses now and you know, lipstick and fingernail polish, and you know, now we ambiguous. What was it? Pansexual or something that I just learned. What the is pansexual? Is somebody that doesn't have a sexual preference. It could be a man or a woman.
Right. You know, and it's crazy because in some of these lesbian circles, you know, I grew up in Philadelphia where the lesbian circles, it was like a mob. They had, you know, they mobbed up as far as black women were concerned. I know, you know, in some of these circles, you know, like Black Lives Matter, you know, you read on their page how they trying to do away with the patriarch of the family, and you know, they treat men like they treat men like the enemy, so to speak. You know what I mean? There's one particular author that a lot of them point to named Bell Hooks, and some of her concepts are just so ridiculously toxic. But there are women, and not just women, some of the young girls that have been students under my wing, come across Bell Hooks, and they really praised this woman and her theories. I met a woman later named Clenora Hudson, wrote a book called I think it was called African Womanism, where she took the concept of feminism and turned it into a concept of womanism. And she talked about how feminism, in practice, it actually goes against the black family. You know what I mean? And you can't have true feminism without the black family. So she coined the term, rephrased it, and turned it into the term womanism. You know what I mean? But just some of these theories that villainize black men. You know what I mean? Even the term itself, toxic masculinity, which is a very popular term now.
It is.
You know,
A lot of play.
But have you ever heard the term toxic femininity? No. So how can you talk about one without the other? Queen Afua, who is she's a holistic woman in a holistic community that deals with healing of black women. She has a book called Sacred Woman that I read years ago. And I remember one of the chapters talked about the bitch mentality. She was very honest about how when a woman becomes toxic, she can take on this very bitch-like mentality. And in our community, this is something that really we haven't even begun to deal with. The concept of a woman becoming an evil bitch to the point where she can even become violent towards her man.
Man, listen, the Queen Mother last week said a stepdaughter got her stepfather killed.
Right.
And then afterwards, she said, I lied. I just wanted them out of the house.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
bro.
So, and then, most recently, in the media, you got this whole Jaguar rights situation. We talked about it previously. I didn't want to talk about it too much because these are concepts, these are things going on that people are exploiting for views, and I just don't want to go down that lane. But it's hard for me to not talk about it at all because, one, this is somebody that I crossed paths with growing up in Philly. I've crossed paths with, we have a lot of mutual friends as well, or a few mutual associates, I should say. But anyway, if you've been keeping up with her story, man,
I have.
Man, you talking about toxic femininity. I mean, you got one side because she's rallying for the concept of women that have been victimized. And in the beginning, she was rallying behind Malik passing away and him deserving more respect. I'm with that. But a lot of those behaviors, man, I've seen her call the police on a hotel manager and say she has a gun. Come here, hurry up. I'm afraid she has a gun. Anytime a black person calls the police on another black person, there's no violence involved, you in the wrong right there. But then if you tell the police you have a gun, that's really attempted murder. We know what it is.
It's a kill order.
We know what it is. And if that ain't the very definition of toxic femininity, what is? The same person that we talking about is called Child Protective Services on her enemy, her internet adversaries, people that she going back and forth with that have exposed certain things. So she resort to calling child services. It's some things, calling the police on another black person unjustly, calling child services on another black person unjustly. It's just, those are crimes in my book, man. And if that ain't the very definition of toxic femininity, I don't know what is. And we talked about depression. Me, one of the reasons I'm not interested in exploiting that topic for views because I was there front and center watching Jaguar on stage perform. I was in the club sitting down having drinks with her, chopping it up, and this is one of Philadelphia's most soulful singers that I've ever heard in my life. Definitely in my generation. You know what I mean? And for me, I consider it a loss. Even though she's still alive and breathing, it's like RIP. I consider it a loss, man. She should be nor in the world with the level of soul that she's displayed on stage, man. But instead, she's she's displaying characteristics of toxic femininity, man, and it's just sad to watch someone so talented, someone that's a Philadelphia legend, spiral.
I got her CD, man.
That you already know.
I got her CD. The only thing she ever did, you know, I got that. You know, I don't know what else she did.
She did the unplugged thing with Jay-Z that was also phenomenal.
Yeah, and then you know we hear about stories coming out of that, but yeah, I'm gonna stay away from that too. I think the sister needs some help.
Well, there's no doubt about that. But the reason why we brought her up is because, you know, we were just talking about how, you know, you can't talk about toxic masculinity without talking about toxic femininity.
And it's out there.
You know,
Absolutely out there, man.
and you know, at the end of the day, our community, we have ingested countless toxins. We are intoxicated as a community. So I'm not going to skate around that. You know what I mean? You know, as a teenager, when I was growing up, the OGs used to buy us 40s and we all sit around and drink malt liquor. Now that I'm a grown ass man and I understand the science of health, man, I was, that's, you know what I'm saying? It's no wonder why shit was so dark and everybody was trying to kill each other off. Like, we was ingesting toxins that, you know, I used to drink St. Ives like.
And listen, man, when we was coming up, this purple, this haze, whatever they call it syrup now, whatever cool ass name they giving it, and that shit's been around forever, man.
Right.
That shit's been around forever. We've seen people can't even walk, man. I mean, yeah. So you're right. It is a yes. It's a,
and that's not even to mention the toxins that we're not aware of that are considered normal, like different things in the foods that we eat that, you know, throw off our chemical and biological structure. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not a man against woman, woman against man thing. As a community, we have been toxidified, and we have to come up with some. We have to approach this thing scientifically.
That's why I have a problem with it. That's why I rail against this talented 10th thing, man. And we've talked about it. We've talked about it before. All these different divisions, man. These sororities, these fraternities, these church groups, these. We got everything that keeps real unity from happening, in my opinion. You know
that part right there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the buck break.
That part right there.
Yeah, we got everything to keep unity from happening. It's set up in a way where if anything comes up that can promote our unity, then that shit is immediately thrown off track. Like,
so how about this?
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
How about this? There's such a subdivision that's actually what y'all just said. That's just actually what's keeping us apart. You know what I mean? Such a focus on subdivision. Feek, you know, you had my wheels turning with WEB this week as well. So, you know, I did some surface stuff, man. I didn't really get a chance to dive all the way in, but I am completely intrigued now at this point from the little that I've read. My question is, as far as that goes, who determines who the talented 10th is or will be? Would it already have to be a hierarchy established to establish a talented 10th? You know, y'all brought up the fact that this whole idea was birthed by a European. It makes me think, man, why are we still trying to find a way through their system? Why are we doing that? You know what I'm saying? You talk about looking for approval. You talk about, you know, codependency, psychosis. You know what I'm saying? Mental slavery. What's that word again, Feek? Pigmentocracy.
Yeah.
You talk about all this kind of stuff, man, and all I hear is, you know, all I see is a puppeteer that already has the stage set. You know what I mean? And people scrambling for their roles, to play their roles. You know, it made me think about what, something Vu was saying last week too, man. You know, in reference to good sister Cheryl suggesting that we just economically withdraw from doing commerce and business with white people. It's not realistic, but I get the concept. But like Vu was saying, like, how can you do that without having any sustaining power of your own? You're still going to have to do commerce with them. You know, how can we exact or find freedom if we still looking for approval for them to in the methodology that we go about obtaining freedom? You know what I mean? And like you, Feek, I'm struggling a lot with this talented Tim because I kind of see it from two sides.
Yeah, I was gonna touch on that as we get going. It's complex, man.
Yeah, I kind of see it on from two sides, man. Like I can see the purity in the ideology.
I get it.
You know what I mean? And I can see the pessimist that's going to come from the ideology. You know, so it's a strange bridge to build.
It's very complex, man.
I also see it manifested in today's reality. You know what I mean? Where it's just like a small section of people that are allowed to occupy certain spaces.
That's mathematics, Dre. You know that.
Right. And you know, with all of the talent that we've seen in our communities, like what I look like picking 10 people out of my community.
Let me say this. Let me say this dealing with mathematics, man. Let me ask you a question. Let me pose it in a question form. What does the 10% actually represent in supreme mathematics?
10%. 85% blind, deaf, and dumb. 5% poor righteous teachers. 10% is those that have the knowledge, refuse to share it with others.
Or use it for their own personal motivation to gain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if I'm looking at it from that aspect, man, I'm looking strictly at the numbers and what they represent to me. You know what I mean? And ironically, it appears that its society is set up the same exact way. You know what I mean?
Wow.
That's what kind of always solidified the mathematics to me, that I can actually see it actually, the way this society is set up. You know what I mean? So could W.E.B. Du Bois really be coming from a place of purity? Absolutely. Could he also be an agent working for the upholding of white supremacy? Definitely. You know what I'm saying? Even if it wasn't of his own accord. Because that's who wins in the end game. You know what I mean? I ain't really want to get in here too much because y'all tearing it up tonight, man. I'm sitting back in enjoyment, man.
Hold up, though. You just put the icing on the cake when you put up the mathematics, pre-mathematics. Like you just like really just summarized the whole thing, like because that's exactly what the lessons teach. Like, you know what I mean? And you see it in today's reality. You know, this conversation made me think of Mike Cosby. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Because Mike Cosby was a fucking computer genius, man. You know what I'm saying?
He was more than a computer genius, though.
Yeah, man. Mike was a
straight genius.
Yeah, he was a special dude, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he ain't have a bunch of degrees and all that. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't validated by way of their standards. I swear to God, and I've been to school. I've been to several colleges, man. I've been to universities. You know what I mean? I've been, you know what I mean, amongst these intellectuals, and I swear I've never met anybody on the level of Mike Cosby, man.
I've never met a smarter person in my life, man. I've never met a smarter person in my life, man.
You know, and when you talk about a concept like the talented 10th, it excludes people like that. That's not what's up. Like when you look at the patents over the years of what Black people have created, you can't use nothing without it being associated with a Black patent. We can't afford to leave our own behind just because they didn't fulfill the standards that validate them in accordance with what a white philanthropist would consider to be valid. You know what I mean?
I'll give you another name. Go ahead, man.
A lot of folks, man, consider me. I guess I would be considered just out of the fuck. I ain't left, I ain't right. I'm just somewhere else with it. Like, you know what I'm saying? But how can you, to your point, how can you succeed in a system or society that never meant to include you or me? We can get some accolades. Don't.
Yeah.
We can get some accolades. We can cross some bridges and complete some training, so forth and so on. You know what I mean? To me, that's never been a gauge of intelligence. You know what I mean? Because you were trained to do something at a certain level. You know what I mean? It's like let's use the game of basketball. You can take 10 people and train them all the same way to play basketball. Some of them people are just going to be better, and some are going to excel in different areas. You know what I'm saying? But what makes the game playable is that there's enough space for everybody to be who they are and work together for a common goal. And that's what we missing in our communities. You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
societies tend to put a lot of, eyesight, a lot of attention on those people that are quote unquote excelling better. So yeah,
Strategically.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And I
I'm
think
with
we
you.
overlook that aspect of our existence, man. The strategic oppression that we have been dealing with for a long time, man. You know what I'm saying? And I don't really see a way of overcoming that working within their framework. You know what I mean? I was looking at two documentaries a little early today, man. I was, one of them was, I'm sorry, it was an interview, was Malcolm X, James Baldwin, I Don't Want to Wait Another 100 Years. You know what I mean?
Was that the debate they had, or was that the discussion they had?
That was a discussion.
Okay.
It was about some other guys on it. It wasn't a picture, I just did the audio. But I can hear it was a couple other gentlemen involved in that. And just the need to label the black man that wanted to be free at that time, just the need to label him, deviant to society. You know what I mean? When in fact, what I was hearing is you're just resistant to white oppression. But to be resistant to white oppression in that time frame meant you would be devious and counterproductive to society on the whole. We leapfrog in the current day. I don't see where that's changed. That mindset, I don't see where that's changed. If we
Now,
sit
when you say destructive to society, you mean to black and white society?
To society on the whole, the gatekeepers of society, whoever is dictating what it is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There really is no black or white society. You got black people operating in white society.
Okay.
We don't have our own society. Yeah, we don't have our own society.
About that.
So, let's be clear about certain things that we say. You know what I mean? We can strive for it. You know what I mean? We can come up with a bunch of theories, a bunch of methods, a bunch of hyperbole, a bunch of quotes. You know what I'm saying? But in all realness and reality, what moves are we actually truly making to get there? You know what I mean? And think I'm with you. We're doing it right the fuck now. You know what I'm saying? Each one teach one, wake another one up, and let's start connecting these fucking Legos. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's not a short race. But some type of coalition or something, man, needs to be set up. And I mean, that's a lot easier said than done. Because as y'all stated earlier as well, man, there's so many entities that are going to strive for elitism at the sacrifice of keeping us apart as a people.
Well, yeah, that's where that complexity comes in at, man. As I was doing this, look at this talented 10th. The complexity comes in is that, okay, we're coming out of Reconstruction, right? So we got the slavery, then we got Reconstruction, and then you got the tear down of Reconstruction, and then you got the Black Codes, Jim Crow, etc. So while all that's happening, W.E.B. Du Bois is going, what can we do to put something in place so that there's a place for us in this society? So that's the complexity. So strive for doctor, strive for a lawyer, strive for this, strive for this. Don't just strive to be agricultural. That's what we've done. So the complexity is pointing towards the future. I get it. And you know, setting a goal, all those things that, you know, we do as people. So I get that. But in the midst of all that, you got to think about the country as well. You know, you still got atrocities happening. And while all that's happening, we still got these built, we got black people separating from the group because of this pointing of this. So it's really complex, man. Now, I'm still trying to understand it.
You know what this sounds like to me, man? It sounds like the age-old feud between the house nigga and the field nigga. You know, when you talk about James Baldwin and his criticisms towards Malcolm X, W.B. Du Bois, his criticisms towards Marcus Garvey, you see that whole dichotomy constantly throughout history, where you got the one like, fuck master, I'm out here in the sun grinding, you know what I mean? And then you got the other one that's a little more comfortable, that's able to fit in. It's like, yo, we should
but
do
it wasn't
just
quite
cooperate.
that. I get that, but it wasn't that cut and dry because you had house niggas that was in the field too, and you had field niggas that was trapped in the house. So it wasn't just quite that simple either, man. We're not going to break it down.
And a good example of that.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to allow that. You know what I'm saying? Because I think there were equal amounts of warriors and rats in both areas. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the exception to the rule, though. I get it.
So. I don't think so.
There we go.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, bro,
where did you go ahead, Nas.
What you're suggesting is that the roles are interchangeable. And a good example of that.
I'm not suggesting that at all.
Let me finish. When we look at James Baldwin and Malcolm X, for example, James Baldwin has some criticisms towards Malcolm that I feel like were invalid. I felt like I could appreciate it to the degree that Malcolm was able to stand his ground and get his point across, right? At the same time, James Baldwin has some very profound things to say and to bring to the table about the Negro struggle. House nigga is not exempt from the concept of being under masses' reign and masses' foot. The house nigga still is going through his own form of a struggle. The point that I was making is that mentality towards the strategy that is used towards getting free from that oppression differs between the field nigga and the house nigga. It's okay that it's a different strategy, but the problem is when the two strategies are pitted against one another.
Agree. So my point is, what my question is, what nigga you actually think killed Master?
Man, ain't nobody. What you mean?
It wasn't the field nigga.
Master's still in power.
That's what I'm saying. Well, I'm talking about for that analogy.
Oh, you're saying whoever's closer in proximity wise.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So they definitely collab, like, you know what I'm saying? And they had to, you know what I mean? Question though, what would you consider James Baldwin?
I mean,
talk about complex. That's a go ahead now.
It's in terms of his strategy, in terms of his approach, in terms of his lifestyle, I will put him in that same category as a W.B. Du Bois, where they had more of the house nigga approach in terms of their strategy. I wouldn't go as, I don't know if I would go as far as to call him a house nigga. If I did, I don't think I would be incorrect. It's just, for me, I'm at a place where I'm just in a space where, like I said earlier in the conversation, when it comes to the elders and those that come before me, even if I disagree with their views, it's a certain level of respect that I try to. Yeah.
I'm more on what you said earlier. Pick the meat and throw away the bones. You know, I'm more of that school with it.
I somewhat agree with what Eleanor just saying. Baldwin is a very complex dude, man. He's early on, you know, when he was being lauded on by the white liberals, he was basically appealing to white folks. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. You know this is wrong. Do the right thing.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so that's his thing. Do the right thing. So he got tired of that. Went to Paris. He couldn't take it no more, man. He got sick and tired of all of that, and he said, "I'm out of here." So he went to Paris.
Right.
Came back with a different attitude.
Yeah, he came back with some of them field nigga perspectives.
He came back with a whole different attitude, man. Because he went over there, right? And he saw what the French was doing. They treated him well.
Well, for obvious reasons.
Well, no, they treated him well, yeah.
For obvious reasons.
If you say they treated him well because they saw that he was a celebrity of sorts. So he didn't get treated like the normal people of color in France.
Well, he was an aristocrat.
Right. So he saw the switch up on that, and he was like,
I'm saying, okay,
y'all think y'all better, but y'all not. Let me go back over here with my people because they have problems.
Right, exactly. You know what I mean? So I get where y'all at with that, man. You know what I'm saying? I really
complex dude. Though,
the point I want to make is, man, I think it took equal amounts of courage and resolve and strength, man. Just because you was in the house didn't make you like a bitch ass nigga or a snitch or a rat.
Well, look,
just because you was in the field didn't make you a super nigga neither. So that's my point with that shit. They had many niggas in the field who was telling what was going on up in them hills.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? Which would be considered a house nigga move.
I mean, you see that same dynamic today. You got people that play that field nigga role, and we just talked about that the other week. You know what I mean? The con artists in the conscious community.
Exactly.
They play that field nigga role so strong. You know what I mean? Your Grandmaster J's, your Umar Johnsons, your Polite. They play like they play that role so well in terms of relating to the people. They give you all the right catchphrases. They wear all black. They do all that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, some of their intentions are questionable. You know what I mean? The same dude that's pulling out guns, talking about let's go march with all these guns, is the same dude that was taking off the Black Lives Matter shirt, talking about all lives matter. So
they all a form of prosperity preachers to me, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I just don't like that narrative. I'm sorry for interrupting the cipher. I just didn't. I wasn't a fan of that narrative, man. The house nigga to the field nigga joint, man. Like I'm just not a fan of that. You know, I think a warrior is a warrior, man. You know, I think a righteous individual is a righteous individual, so forth and so on.
Right, and the point that I was making that you agreed with is that those roles are often pitted against each other.
Absolutely.
As to where if they were able to unify, which is the core of this conversation, we could get a lot more done.
Yeah, the people you got behind you, Mill. That's a real like contrast right there too. You got with the agricultural.
Yeah.
We
spoke to that. We spoke to that a little about yesterday. It might have been, I think. You know about that, man.
Yeah, we did. What's up on that?
Yeah, you gave me a little more clarity on what that whole difference was about. You know what I mean? You know, and it's one that's been played, it's one that's going to be played, it's one that's being played now. You know what I mean? It's one that L just spoke to, it's one that you spoke to, it's one that I spoke to as well. You know what I mean? They have to have contrast. One has to be going against the other, because that stops it from being a whole. And at the end of the day, you got a puppeteer back there playing with both dummies. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, man. I just think we just need to. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know if it's possible, but you know, it's a necessity for us to. I don't know, come up with some kind of an agenda that we can move forward with, man. I was actually listening to that interview with Malcolm and James Baldwin and whoever else was on it, man. you know, the concepts that the Nation of Islam had on separation was pretty dope. You know what I mean? Pretty necessary. And I'd like to know where that whole agenda kind of went to.
They weren't the first ones, man.
No, not at all.
They weren't the first one. They had a whole movement, man. They had a whole movement.
Marcus Garvey. You know what
even before him.
Yeah, Noble. What's my man name? Noble Drew Ali.
Even before him. I'm telling you, man. Way back in the late 1700s, they was trying to get back to Africa, man. Liberia.
Yeah, that's
even back then they had a whole movement, man, where they went.
Isn't that what the whole movie Amistad was about?
I don't know. I don't know about that myself, but all I know is that in the Black community, the movement to go back to Africa was real, man. Where people had to sit down and meet and discuss it. Are you in?
I mean, how about the movement to be sovereign? Period. You know, we had several communities, man, that were sovereign of in and of themselves. They were completely sovereign. You understand what I'm saying? And you know, every time that seems to happen, there seems to be some kind of insane undoing of that imagery, and then it just disappears and act like it was never there. You know, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I know what needs to happen. I just don't know how it's going to happen.
I think the first order of business is self-preservation. And, you know, in that sometimes people get that skewed in terms of what that means. For me, self-preservation doesn't mean that I have to hurt my brother in order for me to come up. I have to hurt my sister in order for me to come up. That's not self-preservation because we all share a symbiotic connection. If I hurt my own to come up, essentially I'm destroying myself in the process. How
you get to that?
Self-preservation?
Well, just the concept that you're talking about, because we still subject to, and it's not a concept that came from us. It came from Darwin. We're still under that survival of the fittest type. We've taken that in. We've ingested that.
Well, that speaks to the whole nature of this whole conversation, man. It's an elitist mindset that we suffer from.
Right, we've ingested it exactly.
You know,
go ahead, I'm with you, man. I'm hearing you.
And that's when I get into redefining what self-preservation is, because right now we define self-preservation from the perspective of a fight or flight mentality, and that's not enough. So I think the first order of business is to define what self-preservation means for us in terms of indigenous people that have been under constant attack in this country and all over the world. And I think if indigenous people all over the world adopt the mentality of self-preservation according to a greater definition than what we've been given, that alone will shake this whole shit up. That alone. If everybody understood that. That's why when they issue certain attacks, they have to do it in a way where we don't even know we're under attack. You know what I mean? Or where the attack is coming from. Because if we were able to define the fact that we are under attack, if we were really able to put our finger on that, not just a documentary about crack 20 years later, in the moment when it's happening, we know, we under attack. We've seen samples of that, like with the Black Panther Party. We realized, our children aren't eating breakfast. You know what I'm saying? We not getting medical attention. We getting beat up by the police, and the common denominator is white people. You know what I'm saying? So for a brief moment, Black people had that accord. You know what I'm saying? But again, somewhere that gets lost, or it gets diminished and pushed back into that lane of fight or flight. And we have to begin to embrace self-preservation, like I said, from a more scientific standpoint. You know what I mean? Understand the science of what we're dealing with. from a more mathematical standpoint, from a more intellectual standpoint, period. You know what I mean? And
Right.
not just from an emotional standpoint.
So that brings me to a thought process I'm having right now, as you're saying, is dealing with these both of these great gentlemen behind me, man. You know, they both in their own right approach this problem from the same exact perspective. You know, but scientifically, you know, economically, you know, culturally, the whole nine. They both, I think, the end game was to be the same exact thing, but it was just one in this area and one in that area. And you know, what kept them from coming together, in y'all estimation?
Oh wow. Well, I could speak to that. Um, Survival of the fittest.
Keeps coming back to that elitist mindset, right?
Well,
Elitist but separatist mindset.
they listen. We at the end of the day, man, we still flesh and blood, flesh and bone.
I know. I think my point is
Blood as
this,
well.
man. I think my point is this with that question, man. Maybe I didn't ask it in a complete fashion. You know, one was coming from academia, one was coming from grassroots. You understand what I'm saying?
Well,
They weren't trying to occupy the same space, but it should have been a bridge built between those two paradigms.
I can tell you what happened. Why it was never built. It wasn't built because they chose Booker T. They chose him, man. He came up with that accommodationist like method,
Yeah.
you know. So
I think I want you to, you know, elaborate on
that's what I'm going to get into. They chose him. They chose him because he was accommodationist. He said, okay, well, listen, we don't want to get in you guys' way. We don't want to get in y'all way, man. We're gonna mess with these crops. We're gonna clean up your bathrooms. We're gonna make ourselves useful. You know what I mean? So they heard him say that, you know, and they was like, okay, we can work with him. So they gave him money, man. They gave him a doctorate. He was invited up to Harvard first. They gave him a doctorate degree. Here you got W.E.B. Du Bois. He's up at Harvard, right?
Mm-hmm.
He worked hard for his degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
He already has a doctorate, so he's looking at all this going, what the hell's going on? So they gave him money. They gave him a doctor. He was invited to the White House. That's where he was able to build Tuskegee University and do all the stuff that he was able to do. So that's why I said survival of the fittest. What I'm saying is really, there's a little jealousy there. They chose him. So now you say he's coming from grassroots. That don't sound grassroots to me. If I'm giving you money, if I'm giving you honorary doctorates, if I'm inviting you to the White House, that don't sound grassroots.
I mean,
academia, that sounds like chosen.
Right, yeah, absolutely. What I'm saying is, you know, one is definitely from an aristocratic background. You know what I mean? And one isn't or wasn't.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like
class.
As you said, he was bestowed.
Yeah, he was
these accolades.
Yeah,
one worked for him, one was bestowed. So right in there lies a dichotomy.
Okay.
It lies a nest for all the negative stuff to start coming out for division. You know what I'm saying? Because now us as the machine, we're going to take our resources and put them next to this non-threatening, more, you know, accommodating black man, as opposed to this guy here who's really trying to change the minds or the mindset of black people. You know what I'm saying? Part two to that thing is you got Booker T. Booker T is doing stuff that's going to sustain and wind up sustaining the country. Why would we let the intellectuals who still need to eat, why would we let them benefit while having any kind of coalition with the guy who's going to do all the feeding?
I'll come in at the Nas.
was just gonna say it sound like divide and conquer. That's all I see all across the board with all of these people that we talking about. It's
Exactly.
classic cases of divide and conquer.
Exactly. And my whole point to that is, man, you know, their methodology hasn't changed. They still running the same tired ass game. And niggas is still going
Yep,
for that shit.
exactly.
I don't
Right.
care what you separate yourself from to do, you know, if you ain't doing it on the level that's going to galvanize all of us. I mean, truth be told, that's where we at right now. I mean, very, very, very near future. You know what I mean? If we don't have these alliances and allegiances, man, you know, that's the slavery that people talk about we going back into. You know, and again, I got to give props to Vu for this, man. You know what I'm saying? How can we exist without being able to sustain and produce our barest resources? So this is why a guy like Booker T. Washington was so important to have in your pocket. Because guess what? White people got to eat too. See how that works? You know what I mean? So that's a crazy, crazy thing when you got somebody who's talking about freedom and you got somebody talking about, as y'all put it, pacification in order to exist.
So which one would you say? You would say WEB over here is what?
A little more of a revolutionary.
And and Booker T is what?
Is more of a what's the word you call it? What did you say?
Accommodation.
Accommodationist. I'm gonna create a word right there.
Yeah, I've been using it all night.
So my bad. I'm a bard then.
Oh, it's all good.
I'm gonna give you a prop. You're right. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I think it was done strategically. The assistance was given strategically to keep the people happy, keep them fed, keep them happy. You know what I mean? The whole time we're gonna quiet this dude down over here that's talking all this do for yourself and all this, you know, these elaborate plans he has to balance it through another means, or balance it through freedom, the means of freedom, the vehicle of freedom. W.E.B. Du Bois. You know what I mean? We go his way, we're not really going to need governmental help. You know what I'm saying? If we go the other way, we in the pocket of the government, so we always going to need the government. What's been proven is the government don't like us. Never has. You know what I mean? So why are we still trying to exist through that whole system?
I guess we could sum it up, man. The reality is like right on your wall right there is a line, right? Between both of them, right? That's where we at. We got
where's the bridge, man?
We got one right here. You got your talented Templars over here with the brain work, and they want, you know, with all the societies and fraternities and Freemasonry,
right?
You know, because I think he was a fraternity guy.
He was. I
don't know what fraternity. A fraternity guy too, though. He was as well.
I'm sure it wasn't the same fraternity. You know what I mean?
But maybe not. But he was a fraternity guy too, though. But
I get what you're saying.
But on the level, what we're saying is we got.
What should have been easier for them to build their bridge?
Got workers and thinkers. That's what we got, right?
Well, see, check this out. I look at it like this, man. I look at it like a game of pool, right? I said this before. You know what I mean? When you line the balls up on a pool table, if you get to a certain level of mastery where you can knock that 8-ball in on a break, your adversary don't your opponent chance to shoot a shot. You know what I mean? It's game over. So it's like, I say that to say this. You know, we talk a lot about Caucasians and how they affect us. You know, that's one aspect of the battle that we deal with. Ultimately, we're the original people of this planet, and we have to focus on achieving a certain level of self-mastery, because my observation has been that when black people want point, white folks really can't infiltrate. White folks really can't touch us when we really...
All they can do is destroy.
Yeah, that's
All,
it.
all they can do is destroy it.
You know what I mean? So, you know, if we master certain skills within ourselves, you know what I mean? If we elevate our personal vibrations to the point where we can come together as a community and do the same, they don't really stand a chance. I mean, you know, these are the same people that burn when they go out in the sun. We're the same people that absorb sunlight and transform it into energy.
So that's
So that same energy when we walk in that light is no, I don't know of any adversary on the earth that can stand in the face of that without having to bow down.
right. Totally and completely agree. Why isn't it happening? Why?
Man,
No. Let me rephrase. Or let me rephrase. Why is it such a hard thing to galvanize?
oh man, that's a good way to phrase it. I would say desire. You know, I was reading this quote that came out of the Quran. I'm gonna paraphrase. It basically was saying that God made. I mean, it said basically God made man with intellect. God made animals with desire, and it was saying that if you put desire over intellect, you lower yourself to the vibration of animals, basically. And I think one of the common tools that I see that are being used against us is turning our desires against ourselves. That's one of the common tools that the adversary uses against us. You know, on the Dead Press CD, there's this interlude that talks about the wolf and how in Alaska where it's cold, will hunt the wolf by putting the blade inside the ice. The wolf will come and lick the blade. And when the wolf will come and lick the blade, the wolf will taste his own blood. And by tasting his own blood, the wolf will keep licking the blade and licking the blade until ultimately the wolf will bleed out and die. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how we getting played. Like that's the one common factor that I see in regards to us as black men is our desires are being played against us. Same with black women, but even with black women, they use their vanity against them. You know what I mean? Their desire to be more beautiful. You know what I mean? Their desire to be vain. And these are the tools that are used against us that are causing us to really be distracted from our greater abilities and higher vibrations, or at least using those greater abilities toward cause.
Damn.
Belief, belief is very strong magic. Belief is very strong magic.
That piece you just did on desire that's very thought provoking because I see the visual of that throughout all our time here is the desire. And
As to what we're chasing,
no, not as just as he put it in terms of using it against us.
right?
You know,
I
it's
think we,
almost like we're chasing our tails, and
I
almost
think we're
like in
saying
a
the same
comedy
thing.
show. You know, and it's
It can't be that simple, right?
yeah, if we're gonna break it down into something that's really like visual, you know,
Right.
chasing our
So
tails, man, and you know, or we got a carrot in front of us and we could never get the carrot. We could never get the damn carrot.
let me speak to this real quick, son. Please pause. So I mean, I like to thank you personally for just breaking down the riddle of the Sphinx. You know, which is simply is, you know, the Sphinx has a human head and an animal body. So the riddle is never let your animal instincts overtake your human brain, because as you said, it lowers your vibration to that of an animal. So if we still chasing the carrot, therein lies the problem. You know what I'm saying? We become completely we succumb completely to our desires as a people.
Completely.
You know what I mean? So much
What
to
is
the
it that
point
we desire? Once you finish.
acceptance. but acceptance
Well, I
by
mean,
your master. But you don't even realize that it's a game being played.
yeah, and you know, desire has a million and one faces.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I met a
Um,
couple hundred of them.
yeah, I met a couple 100,000 my damn self.
Early.
I mean, but see, that's the
And I'm
twist
not.
is that it's constantly being thrown in our face. Like the opposite of desire is discipline, right?
So yeah. Good.
And you know, like I said earlier, we had a really good conversation, you know, just in terms of you know, our sexual, how we define our sexuality. And one of the things, I mean, I had it in my thought processes at a younger age, but it became more serious once I began to experience the consequences of life as a black man. One of those things was in terms of having sexual discipline. You know, that was never something that was taught to me or emphasized by other men growing up. In fact, it was quite the opposite. It was always about, you know, when you a kid, you still a virgin. You still got OGs like, yo, did you hit? Did you get that? Like, and then, you know, when I became a grown man, I can't open a magazine or watch television or do anything without constantly being stimulated on some level sexually. So, you know, when I finally reach a point in my life, I want to work to apply a greater level of discipline. One of the common challenges is not so much the thought process that goes into it or acknowledging the need. Common challenges is that it's something that's always constantly minding me or pulling or stimulating or hyper hyper stimulating that aspect of my thought process to the point where
You're just
even if
reacting.
I want to be sexual, right, even if I want to be disciplined in that area, is seemingly impossible. Not literally impossible, but seemingly impossible. And you know, one of the reasons why, as an older black man, I began to think about this is because I had to think about, you know, one of the things Ramil and I would talk about is the power of influence, and I had to really take into consideration my ability to influence other young men. The same way I was influenced coming up, even though I was misguided. The question becomes, I want to continue that same cycle of influencing other young men to operate with accordance with a lack of discipline, knowing that it's not as simple as just going out here and doing what you want. Life comes with consequences, and you can alleviate some of those consequences by applying certain levels of discipline in certain areas of your life where it's time to. But you can't do that if you're not exercising the thought process and the discipline in order to do so. My point is that in the interest of desire, we're constantly being reminded of desire versus operating in a mind over matter type of mentality.
It's a constant battle. Yeah, yeah.
I
That's a hell of a conversation y'all was in. Y'all should have three-wayed me in that one.
thought about it too, bro. I did. I swear to God, I
It's a
thought
hell
about
of
it,
a
man.
conversation because
I
I
think
got something to
We will
add
next time. I
because you're
definitely
right.
thought about it. I definitely thought
It's
about it.
I
really
think you even
about
said it.
discipline.
Mhm.
It's the discipline over the desire. Exactly, man.
Right.
You got to start making decisions.
So shameless plug. You said it should be mind over matter, right?
Right. Just now.
So you know, I only know one thing that can balance matter or combat matter.
Okay.
Antimatter. Boom. See that?
Absolutely.
Sometimes it take y'all a while, but see that? You
But
know.
yeah, it has to
Other
be
question.
mind over matter, man.
Right. The other thing that I want to say is, you know, I want to ask y'all a question, man. You know, what's the greatest trick the devil ever performed?
Teaching the people that he did not exist.
There you go. I don't think we have to decipher that one. You know what I mean? That in itself, you know, if you chasing your desires, man, you're not even recognizing the devil that's in front of you.
Man, listen, y'all, that's deep because I'll be honest with you, man. My discipline has me talking to myself. Man. Leave that alone.
I get answers, bro.
You got to that.
Get
That's
out
the
of
power.
there. You know what I mean?
That's the power of God, and that's the power of your own influence over yourself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Get out of there.
Since we on the lessons, I got one for you. Why did God create the devil?
I'm gonna let you clean that
To
one
show
all the way up, man. Go ahead. That exists. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, the lessons they asked the question. Yeah. Why did God create the devil? And the response is to show and prove that he is God. This kingdom and civilization in one day's time. You know, so in other words, this ain't got to be a long, drawn out process. The moment that we apply a certain level of discipline, we got to bow down. They ain't got no more tools to work with.
You know what's funny, man? The last couple of weeks, man, I've been having so many religious people, man, chopping my head off, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, because over the very concept that they just have to have something other than themselves to believe in. You know what I mean? You know, and it's been coming from multiple different sources, man, not one religion or the other, man, but just that concept, man. And I totally get the discipline that some people need or desire or even love. I totally get that. But, you know, what kind of perturbs me is that, you know, those said people don't get it the other way.
Well, they're not trained to get it the other way.
Okay. That's profound.
That's training.
That's profound. I understand.
Listen, man, you're trained from the time you what, 2 or 3, whatever the discipline of religion it is. You're getting it at the dinner table. You're getting the you know, I got that at the dinner table. I got it at the Sunday, the Gospels. You get it reinforced like that all the time. So that's a hard, to use your word, magic. That's the hard magic right there. That
it is.
And then too, there's a difference. There's a difference between discipline and following a script. You dig what I'm saying? Like, I think religion.
In some ways, I think there's a difference between freedom and following a script. I think it takes extreme. Hear me out. I think it takes extreme discipline to follow a script. Because, you know, maybe I'm just fortunate, but I use the analogy of glass ceilings a lot. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can see that there's something else going on. If I could just get through this damn ceiling. You know what I'm saying? And for me, religion kind of presents that, because I see the next level up. You know what I mean? And some people just don't see it that way, man. Some people don't want to see it that way. And that's fine. As long as you're a good person, man, that's all that matters. You know, as long as you're doing good deeds, man, listen, rock out with however you identify with whoever. I am not on a conversion mission. I'm not here to say, you know, this is right versus this is wrong, so forth and so on. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. We can argue about that all day. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, the refusal, or maybe just not the ability.
It might be, you know what? Take this for what it is, Mill. It might be the messenger as well.
Oh, indeed.
Sometimes the people just won't accept the messenger.
I get it. That's what Jesus went through. That's what Jesus went through. I get it.
The messenger is part of the message.
Yeah, they ain't subtle either. You know.
Hey, you know what? Before Elanaj gets in, I just want to punctuate that message and messenger point. I really dislike Steve Harvey.
Talented Tiff.
but hear me out though.
Where the fuck is that coming from?
Hold on, I'm saying, hear me out. But some of his messaging is good. Some of his messaging is good.
For who?
I mean, he has some good messaging in terms of mentorship.
Okay.
You know, so he does some things that are laudable.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna cut you off for one quick second and say that depends on where you're mentoring them to.
I understand that as well, but his mentorship program is documented.
Yeah,
so this
it's documented.
This is the thing, because you know, a similar thing can be said about somebody like Bill Cosby. You know what I mean? You know, said some great things, did some great works, but this is what I see happens with people like Bill Cosby and Steve Harvey. You reach a certain level.
There you go.
And they had to work hard to get there. They went through a lot of the same struggles that we go through as black men. But what happens is they become condescending towards the rest of the people that didn't reach that level. So at that point, even when they're giving good advice, it's bad advice because it's coming from such a condescending space.
Absolutely.
Bill Cosby got up there and said something along the lines about black men needing to pull their pants up, et cetera, et cetera. It was a very valid point. I agree, 100%. But it came from such a condescending place that the shit had no impact. Steve Harvey talks about being on time, waking up early, getting to work early, and all. Great advice. I wish somebody would have really taught me that when I was at a young age, right? Good advice. Get up early, be 15 minutes early when you go to places, right? Great advice. It comes from what the things that he add to it and dress it up with come from such a condescending space that the shit does not inspire me to walk the way that he's suggesting. You know what I mean? It more make me be like, man, shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it kind of neutralizes itself because they come from such a I'm better than you, elitist, bourgeois, boule type of
absolutely,
space.
man. And I just wanted to use that as an example.
That was masterful, sir.
See about getting laughs in. We so heavy tonight, man.
Yeah,
Here's another thing, man. I was doing some research. I tried to put up a post 365 on something that somebody did in our community on this landmass that is exceptional. So as I'm going through the day, right, it comes across there's the first black general in the Air Force. His name is Daniel James. They called him Chappie. So he's the first 4-star black general. So I'm going through, I'm reading about all the things that he's done, his achievements, what he's done. And then I get to this section where and this is in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. He started off more than that, but his level of achievement is starting to apex right around in the 50s and 60s. So I asked him about civil rights. He said, I don't have time for none of that stuff, man. Point blank. He took that message to, I don't know what he meant by it. What do you mean you don't have time for civil rights? We're all fighting for civil rights. What do you mean you don't have? So that's that glass ceiling that you talked about, man. Mm-hmm. He don't want nobody else getting that. So I'm ready to go ahead and put him up. And then I read, that's not the type of people that he's like that Steve Harvey.
Well, you know, we talk
condescending, about, you know, it's sickening, man. You read about people's achievements and, you know, they have the same skin tone as you and you think they have the same struggles, but then when you read about them, you're like, ah. But go ahead, Nice.
Last week we brought up Sidney Poitier, and I was telling you how, you know, when I listened to his audio book, he talked about how, you know, when he was coming up, a black man approached him and he was like, yo, fuck out of here with that. You know what I mean? And, you know, then he got into talking about how, like, I'm over here opening up businesses. I'm doing shit. Like, that shit y'all talking. You know what I mean?
So he had the same approach. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, his position was also he felt like it was a hustle too. You know what I mean? Which,
So he's strictly
you
just
know,
talking about.
On some like, you know, I'm getting shit done. You know what I mean? And you talking that shit, but you ain't really. I mean, what is you doing? My point is that like I brought up earlier in the conversation, I understand that if you come from a different walk, you may have a different strategy, a different approach. Like what we're all agreeing to is that when you do reach a certain level of success, what you don't want to do is start becoming condescending towards people. You know what I mean? You can disagree with somebody's approach without necessarily having to be condescending towards the whole of the community. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a lesson that those who are successful need to learn. I mean, look at the hip hop industry, for example. You know, I remember when like in the '90s when Biggie came out, and Puffy and all them was on top, and hip hop made this transition to a more materialistic space. And I just remember Puffy just blowing up, right? And one of the things that stood out the most to me about Puffy is I felt like as he started getting rich, he started taking on this very condescending attitude towards people that weren't rich. And the reason why that stood out to me is because I kept up with Puffy's journey. And like I said, a lot of people on their way to success, like Steve Harvey, they go through a lot of the same things that we go through as black men. But they're able to comprehend certain things. You know what I mean? You know, Puffy can comprehend somebody like Sister Soldier. You know what I mean? Puffy can relate to some of the things that Farrakhan might spit. You know, Puffy ain't no dummy. But at the same time, you know, once he reached that level of success and took on all of the things that came along with that, some of those things being toxic, you know, we get to a point of success within those industries, but then we start treating our own people the same way gatekeepers treated them. You know what I'm saying? Start doing business the same way that people gave them fucked up contracts. Now you're gonna give everybody else fucked up contracts.
So
I'm saying
Terrible contracts.
that's kind of my vision with this whole talented 10th thing. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I see it playing out eventually. And I hope I'm wrong, man. You know, well, it ain't even a thing right now, to be honest with you. But if it were to come to pass, I will hope with everything in me that I will be wrong about that.
well, it absolutely has come to pass. You know, the teachings of W.B.E. Du Bois, you know, the Greek fraternities, you know, the talented 10th. That's the world we live in today.
I see.
That's the world we live in today.
The fact
you know,
that
we only got.
How about that?
That's the world we live.
How about the fact that, you know, now, you know, when we grew up, man, you know, trades were still an important part of our growing, man, and being, you know, productive members of society. And then somewhere in there, trades went way out the window, and everybody just wanted the college degree. You know what I'm saying?
You know the backstory on that, right?
Nah.
This is pretty simple, man. You didn't need a college degree to be successful in our community.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, okay. Right, exactly.
We were working in the factories, right? DuPont's, the factories, Ford, you know, all the factories, the industrial age. We didn't need a college degree.
You ain't need a college degree to raise your family.
Exactly. You didn't need that.
Now, without a college degree, you're not raising a family, fam. You lucky if you can goddamn
raise
your child support.
So that's the shift right there, man. That's the shift. That's the shift right there.
You're not taking care of a woman, multiple children, because back then they was having 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kids.
Man, shoot, 10 kids.
Yeah, back then you could buy a brand new car for $3,000 too. You know what I'm saying? I totally get it, man. I totally get it.
So, I mean, so that's it right there.
And I'm not saying so much the industry, but I'm still focusing more on like the trades, man, because people still building. You know what I mean? You're gonna need carpenters. You're gonna need electricians.
Well, another thing too is the unions. The unions started getting a little more racist, I guess.
All of that. All of that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you know,
So why
technically
wasn't there black unions? That's my whole point. Like we're never gonna integrate into this society. It's not going to be a success. Integrating into that society, to this society, will never be successful for black people. I don't care how many degrees you get. I don't care, you know, how many jobs you work. This is just not going to work for us. But go ahead.
So let me build on that because I want to dispel the myth, right? Let me paint the picture. If I'm sitting in my house chilling, somebody come running up in my house and rape my wife and kill my kids and just take over my whole crib, right? They still say, well, you can live in the crib. You just got to stay in that little space over there. And when we need you to clean up or cook for us, I mean, you can come out your space, right? So it's my crib. You ran up in my crib, built my family, and appointed me a space and a position with my own shit, right? At that point, there's nothing for me to integrate into except the illusion that you've created that this is now your crib. So now I'm trying to find acceptance in that, right? The reality of it is that this was my shit to start with. You ran up on my shit. So it's not about me integrating. It's about me getting rid of you.
Exactly. Exactly. So
that's the position that we in.
Figure, I want you to bless me with that Martin Luther King quote about being integrated into the burning house. Was that James Baldwin?
The bootless man.
Yeah, James Baldwin was the one who said it about integrating into the burning house. Yeah, I like the Martin one about.
But see, let me take that a step further because
hold that for 1 minute, please. What did Martin say, Fig?
He said it's a cruel jest to tell a bootless man to pull himself up with a bootstrap.
Right.
Yeah, it's a hell of a thing, man. The way
that just speaks. Well, I'm sorry, so I hope you ain't lose your train of thought.
Not at all. Not at all.
I just love to hear that, man.
I just want to take it a step further in terms of my observations and what's going on using that same example, right? You know, they ran up in our house. You know what I'm saying? They murdered our foreparents, our mothers, our wives, all of that, and took over our shit. And now we sitting in the corner trying to figure out how to solve this problem, right? First thought, you know what I mean, all right, maybe we got to run up on them. Maybe we got to poison their food. Maybe we got to kill them. We got to take them out. You know, the black community went through all these different stages. You know what I'm saying? The Nation of Islam, Black Panthers fighting back and all of that. And now, like I said earlier in the conversation, we're in a space where we in our house and they done took over our shit. Now they fighting amongst themselves. You dig what I'm saying? They fighting amongst themselves on our shit, right? So now we're in a space where we don't got to think like the Black Panthers thought at one point where it's like, all right, maybe we got to go out here and shoot them and kill them and I kill Whitey and all that. We don't got to think like that. The way this shit is set up right now is that we got to develop a strategy in which we can stand out of the way. All of the shit flying back and forth. They shitting on each other right now. If we can separate ourselves from that and use that as an opportunity, like I said previously in the conversation, to commit ourselves towards our own self-development, when we come out on the other side of this thing, we'll be in a much better position, a much stronger position, especially if we can become skillful enough to pass that down to the youth. Because ultimately, my conclusion has been the biggest failure in the Black community is our lack of control in terms of educating our children. As an educator in the public school system, Bill, you heard me say this before. I came to a point where I would have parent-teacher conferences and tell parents, like, listen, you know, I'm going to be honest with you, which is going against the grain of the administration. You would be better off keeping your child at home in front of the TV watching the Discovery and the History Channel than sending them to school, sending them to this school. That's real rap. What children are exposed to and what they're learning, what they're not learning for that matter, is such a detriment from such an early age that I believe that that's probably, to me, the biggest problem in the Black community is the disconnect between us as adults and our youth and our ability to educate them. By the time we get to a point of adults where we realize we've been miseducated, and then we want to step out and then have an influence on our youth, it's such a gap now that we're trying to figure out how to even get across to them. They're not even listening. Why? Because they've already been seduced from such an early age mentally. And now we can't even get through to them. By the time we realize we need to get through to them, because before we even can try to get through to them, we got to get through to our damn self. And realize, like, wait a minute, I've been miseducated. And so it's that whole cycle. And then our women, many of our women don't even realize there's a problem. Many of our women have been conditioned to the standard of, if I send you to school, if I send my son to school and he come home with A's on his report card, he must be doing great. Not realizing, I don't care how many teachers I come across that just give a child an A just to get him out the goddamn classroom because I don't want to see you next year. I'm going to pass you.
Well, how about this?
Meanwhile, the child can't even read.
How about this? No child left behind.
That's our biggest dilemma as a community. Is our children are being limited to the power of another culture, another people that control the educational system on the whole. You know, when I was working in the school system, man, the teachers wasn't from the community. I was the only teacher in the building. When 3 o'clock hit and I went home, I was in the vicinity of the community. You know what I mean? At a certain point, I moved to the outskirts where I had a little more peace of mind. Generally speaking, I was a part of the community. Other teachers, out in the suburbs somewhere, never even been. Some of them never was even exposed to Black children.
How about this? I have 2 children that went through the Philadelphia school system, right? And I think I can count the number of Black teachers they've had. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, I've never taught at a school where I didn't hear this one term. I'm gonna repeat it. Man, there's such a need for Black men. We never get to see Black men. I've heard this a million times in the classroom. There's such a need for Black men in the educational school system. In my experience, I can count the number of Black men teachers on one hand, and I got 5 fingers. And at least 3 of them was just there for a check. Like, you know what I'm saying? They wasn't there because they was passionate about really getting, touching young people. Like some of those older Black women might have been that really was committed. You know what I mean? You just don't see it, man. You don't see it, man. You don't really see and the part of that has to do with the fact that it's not welcome. When I heard that saying, it usually came on a more personal level from Black women. But it's not, because as a Black man, when you get in there, you start teaching, man, in order to really educate our children, some of the things you might want to get across might not necessarily be what the administration wants you to be dealing with. You know what I mean? The things I was dealing with, like when I toured in South Philly, my thing was this. I toured in South Philly where it was a large Muslim population. And the school district gave me a contract for 15 students who was supposed to be the worst of the worst. But they breached the contract by giving me 30 students, right? And I came into class, it was mornings I came into class, I had children standing out on the ledge getting ready to jump out the window. You know how tall school buildings are. So my classroom was out of control. So one of the things that I saw was that it was a large Muslim population. So when Ramadan rolled around, I said, yo, why don't y'all bring y'all prayer rugs in, man, and pray? You know what I mean? That was my way of counteracting children jumping out of the window, bringing crack into the classroom. All true stories. So when I told them to bring their prayer rugs in, it turned into a trend. Other students from other classrooms started seeing it. Oh, teacher letting y'all bring y'all prayer rugs in and pray during the day. We're gonna do it too. So then it became such a big thing. I asked the principal to open up the auditorium because it was so many students. And at a certain time, I let the students go and they would pray. And when they came back, the whole behavior and mannerisms was totally different about the rest of the school day. That turned into the news media finding out. Once the news media found out, they cut that. What you think happened to me? Suspended. I mean, why am I getting suspended? You mixing religion and state. I'm coming up with behavior modification strategies in accordance with the environment that I'm in the culture that I'm dealing with, and it's working. I ain't teaching religion. I'm just giving them the liberty to exercise something that's an alternative to the negative behaviors.
Well, therein lies your problem.
Now you terminate it.
Therein lies your problem. You know, white education or being educated by people other than yourself is just like going to, like, you know, it's like Western medicine, man. It's meant to, you know, deal with symptoms, man. It's not meant to do anything outside of that, man. You coming up with cures and, you know, credible and tangible reasons on how to not just combat but fix, overcome, eradicate. You know what I'm saying? And still be able to get the core message in there. You know, we speak of training and stuff like that, man. What does school actually train you for? You know what I mean? I'm not saying, you know, it's not necessary. But like you said, I mean, I think you can learn just as much. You know, you can learn just as much without that archaic institution. You know, and I think about Nas, man. You know, I think about Nas and his story. I think about his story, man. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that here you are, a guy who has an honorary doctorate from Harvard based on the material that he's put out. You know what I mean?
Got classes.
Yeah, he's definitely in my hip hop top 3. You know what I mean?
No, I'm saying they got classes in Harvard.
Oh yes. I thought you said classic. Yeah, where they deconstruct his lyrics. You know what I'm saying?
Just to add on to that real quick, you know, Nas came home from school and told his dad that he didn't want to go back to school. Okay,
I was getting to that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and what was more shocking to me in that story was his father's response. His father said, "Listen, I ain't gotta go back, but y'all better learn everything y'all need to learn." You know what I mean? You leapfrog that by about 35 years, and you're looking at one of the most profound men of our culture in our time, simply, who probably doesn't have much more than an 8th grade education.
His father gave him permission to drop out of school.
And like the 8th grade, man. You
right.
Know what I mean?
Well, that's a whole, what do you call it? That's a whole thing on education. Like you said, this whole institution. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, he actually, embodied that shit in lyrics. Like, you know what I mean? The school cares more about your son's grade than they do his grades. You know what I mean? They more concerned with having you look a certain way than what's in your not.
Yeah, we still got young people today that are not allowed to walk down the aisle during their graduation because they got dreadlocks in their hair. I'm saying you had an instance right out here in Jersey where a young boy that was wrestling,
they cut his hair.
Right on the mat.
And he was half of one of theirs.
Huh?
He was half of one of theirs.
And if that's not psychological warfare in front of an audience, the referee is cutting his locks off.
So yeah,
just so he can wrestle.
But ironically, it's okay for a guy to wrestle a girl because of what he claims himself to be.
Right. Yeah, that works. Better stop it, man. I know where you're going.
See how that works? Right. You talk about mental conditioning, man, right? You know, it's
This is the world that they built around us. They came in our house, rearranged all the goddamn furniture. They turned the couch upside down. You know what I'm saying? Flipped the table over and told us to eat off the floor. You know what I'm saying? They rearranged everything. We can't wear our hair in locks to play sports. I can turn into a woman. It's cool. This is the world they expect us to live in.
y'all getting that whole text up there? Can you read that whole text?
Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. Have no fear for atomic energy, because none of them can stop the time. How long should they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look?
Ooh.
And say it's just the part to fit. We got to fulfill the book.
Yeah.
But you helped me to sing these songs of freedom. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Prophet right there, man.
Yes, I do.
I learned more from Bob Marley than I did in all my 12 years of schooling.
Absolutely.
I mean, in terms of grades, kindergarten to high school.
And ironically, he was half of one of theirs too. So he telling on his parents. You know what I mean? You know why? Because he came out looking like us. His parents treated him just like us. His foreparents. You know what I mean? They already laid the groundwork. Don't matter. You ain't come out looking the right way. So you go on over there with them.
Yep.
Now I get to see the good side and the bad side. You dig me? But I gotta accept what you said. I gotta accept the fact that I gotta eat off the floor with the rest of the niggas.
Yeah, it's a hell of a thing, man. I put up on my page today, man. Young lady, well, she's an ancestor now, but Harriet, what is her name? Harriet. She wrote "Incidents of a Slave Child." Incidents in the life of a slave child.
Mm-hmm.
And she talks about all of that. All of that, dude. It's kind of sick to me how the narrative of enslaved people is that there's a movement, a front to make that seem as not bad as it was.
Harriet Jacobs.
Yeah, Harriet Ann Jacobs, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and she talks about it. She talks about it and leaves nothing out. And she talks about the rape. She talks about the slave master's wife and how she treats the children. She talks about the slave master coming down and trying to make her a concubine, and it's pretty deep, man. It's pretty deep. So I feel you when you say, eat off the floor. We're gonna turn your whole world upside down. We're gonna shift you around. We're gonna put you in a corner and tell you to make do with that after we've done all that we've done. So I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel you.
Yeah, I'm glad you elaborated on that, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a cruel jest to tell a bootless man
To pull himself up
by his bootstraps.
Yeah.
You know,
you wearing my goddamn boots.
You just say, give me my boots then.
Yo, you on fire tonight, kid. You on fire tonight. I love it. I love it.
Well, what's so
motherfucker that took your boots too, bro.
And
you got your snatch. You done took the snatch. You know what I mean? The kids walking around talking about he better than you, Dad. And you gotta stay in the house. Like, that's crazy.
What'd you say? Give me
but now let me put a spin on that for you. Dre, you remember us having a conversation, man, about that very thing, man, during the time of slavery, man? Could you imagine you working in the field 15, 20 hours a day, man, to come home to find out that your wife been raped in front of your children, household array, and you are virtually empowered to do very little, if nothing at all, without offering your life up?
Shit. And you
That was
said that.
and that
You
was every
said that.
day.
You said that as if it was past tense. My thought process is like, yo, that's the battle. That's the world that we live in. That's what we combating right the fuck now. You know what I'm saying?
The
Like,
aftermath of that, of course. Of
you
course,
gotta
I
have
know.
a really in 2020. In this day and time, you gotta have a really special bond to keep your relation. If you're a married man or in a relationship as such, and to keep that shit tight.
And
You know what I mean? You gotta
listen,
have.
anybody that's walking that walk, man, and making it work, man, listen, my hat goes off to you. You know what I mean? Because I
Take
can
it off. Take it off the bait, then.
Absolutely. I tell you that all the time, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna tell you right now, it ain't easy.
My point is that
I'm sure it's not easy for either one of you. You know what I mean?
I'm saying I go without a lot of things.
It's sacrifice involved because we live in a world that does not support us having healthy families. First of all, we live in a world that doesn't support us being healthy, period, as individuals. So then when you try to take it a step further, build relationships and bonds and have families, we live in a world that doesn't support that.
I ain't never grow up that much.
You know
I never matured that much, you know.
I think somebody that I look to as somebody, I read Bill Russell's book.
It's a very interesting guy to bring up right now.
The only reason why I bring it up in this context is we ain't even talking about the winning or the philosophy or any of those other things, which are dope as well. But his commitment to his family, he talks about it in his book. And it gave me a lot of strength. Because as Eleanor said, at the end of the day, the goal is a healthy family. So with that being said, we talked about the desires earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
To the side. Healthy families is the goal. So it kind of makes me put the blinders on because that's what I'm fostering. I don't care what anybody says. You know, we hear all this. We talk about how the woman in the marriage has to be happy, or no one in the house is happy. That may be the case for some, and it might be the case for more than not. But I think the man sets the tone in his home. You know, he sets the tone for all the relationships. He sets the tone for the communication, how that's going to go between, because listen, if I have in my family, if I'm talking to my wife a certain kind of way and I'm dealing with her a certain kind of way and I got my kids looking at that, they're going to do the same thing. That's just gonna all flow down. Then my daughter, she's gonna look at that and say, this is the way a man's supposed to talk to a woman. I set the tone for the communication in the family.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta foster healthy communication. So at some point, I made a decision, put my blinders on, and I'm thinking about healthy family. Because as was said earlier and all throughout tonight, that's something that's not that's a battle. That's a battle. So I'm fighting that battle. I'm trying to keep my family healthy, and I'm trying to foster outside of that too, healthy community.
Yeah.
but it starts inside the home first. So yeah, I think, and I'm gonna go to my grave. I think man sets the tone in his home.
You
Go
know,
to my
listen,
grave with that.
the
Yeah,
greatest revolutionary act that a black man can commit is the restoration of the black family. That's my take on that. That's my observation based on my experiences. Because in restoring the black family, you're investing in the future. You know what I mean?
You're on fire tonight. That's
yeah.
what's up. That's for real.
And that's not what we're taught at a young age.
That's not productive for society. It never has been. I mean, you could be a family long enough that you pump out strong, useful members for society. But that's basically the strength, all the strength that they need from you. All that other fly shit y'all talking right now, you know what I'm saying? And society ain't got no time for that shit.
Right.
They work so hard to keep it, as we stated earlier. You know, it would appear that they work so hard to keep it the polar opposite of that it should be obvious to us that that's what we need to be focusing and strengthening. You know what I mean? Because they make it so fucking sweet not to do that.
Y'all got excuse me, I'm looking for the book.
Yeah, we figured you had a book somewhere about that. This nigga got a fucking library, man. You know what I mean?
Right here, man.
Yeah, back to Bill Russell. I'm glad you showed that cover, man. You know, his journey was very interesting to me because if I'm not mistaken, he's married to a white woman, right?
He don't have no pictures in here.
Smart man. No, but yeah, he's married. I'm pretty sure he's married to.
I don't know, man. That was a quick on your feet comment, but ain't no pictures in here, bro.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Bill's married to a white chick, man. You know what I mean? And you know, it blew my mind when I found that out, man, because of the persona that was always associated with Bill Russell, man. You know, he was kind of like an anti-hero. You know what I mean? As far as society went and everything, man. He was a real slick, cool dude. He actually used to have almost like a little costume he used to wear and everything, with the black cape and the hat or whatever and shit, man. He had this whole persona, man. And for him to take the stance that he took because of racism, man, it kind of floored me that he was married to a white woman. You know what I mean? Not in a negative way. I mean, you love who you love, but I was like, how can you be that black and like have a white wife, man? You know what I mean? John Thompson the same way. You know,
he wasn't married to a white woman though.
John Thompson?
Yeah.
You sure about that?
Absolutely.
Okay. I thought he was.
No, that's a common question that people bring up in debate. Can you be married to a white woman and still be for the black cause or still be a revolutionary or whatever have you? You know, people are debating that question. You know, and
that's not where I was going with it, but yeah, I mean, you absolutely can. You know what I mean? Especially in today's revolution. Yeah, you're right, Feet. My bad. I don't know why I thought he was married to a white woman.
Yeah, I don't know where you were
John
on the road
Thompson
for a second there. Then you threw out John Thompson. You know I'm down this area, man.
Yeah, I thought
you didn't catch me say area the way they say it. I didn't pick that up, right? Area.
They say
That's exactly what the fuck it is.
Yeah, so yeah.
All right, so let me throw a curveball at y'all. See who did their homework. Alpha 21.
I did.
Since we on the subject of restoring the black family and why that's such a revolutionary act. I mean, we got to understand. In order to understand the value of that, we got to understand their agenda.
Oh.
Primary agenda.
Oh.
Their primary agenda.
Well, that's what
always been.
It's kind of. I was just gonna say that's kind of what I'm speaking. That's kind of what I've been speaking to all night. You know what I mean?
That's
I want you to finish it.
yeah. So that Martha 21 was deep, man.
Not so deep, man. It was just kind of revealing to me, man. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't think it was, I mean, because I see this already. Like, I already know what the agenda is. You know what I mean? It's cool. It's cool to see it. You know, somebody put thought behind it to bring it across in that kind of in that kind of medium. You know what I'm saying? On that kind of medium, and but I kind of always realize that that's what we up against, man. We up against every kind of
you do it reach that
warfare.
high,
Huh?
because there's always conspiracy theories. I mean, we could talk about conspiracy theories all night. But
You said that I think it reached that high?
Yeah, it reached all the way
Absolutely.
to the White House, man.
I mean, come on, man.
Not only that.
They had slaves, man. They had slavery here.
Fast forward to the day, Bill Gates is part of that bloodline. Mark Singer and all, they all the same age and through marriage.
You know,
they all tied in, and they passed down that philosophy going all the way back to Germany.
So we back on eugenics.
Yeah.
So
it ain't no new thing. That's something they've been passed their strategy down from generation to generation to generation, and they stick
exactly.
to it.
So you're asking me, was I surprised that it went as high as the White House? Not at all. Not at all. I think it goes higher than the White House, if you follow what I'm saying, because the White House ain't the highest seat. You know what I mean? That's just the show. You know what I mean? We all know who run the country. We can take this back to Jekyll Island.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a whole nother.
Right.
That's
you know what I mean?
Like
we're right over there beside Nova Scotia and all that. You know what I mean? For y'all that don't know, treat yourself. Look up Jekyll Island and tell me what you come back with. Hit us in the comments. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, we could take that back to the Greek Empire. We could take that. We could throw that to all the different nations and countries that influxed into Africa. Of course, it reached that high. It's been a plan since day one. You know what I mean? We fucked up when we let that first motherfucker come down into Luxor and Memphis and Timbuktu and sit next to us and start learning.
I mean, you brought up Jekyll Island and all of that. Like,
let's just throw it out there.
We might, theoretically, we might have fucked up by creating them in the first place.
Or that. You going with Yakub now? We gonna shout Yakub out?
I mean, you brought up Jekyll Island, all that shit tie in. You know what I mean?
It does. It's all related. It's all related. You made a quote that said, what was the lesson? Give it to me again about the devil. Who was the devil?
Why did God create
God made the devil?
Show
God create the devil?
Is God. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So there you go. So maybe it's a weird segue, man. And then, God and man being synonymous, but it works. You see, we fucked up when we created them, right? It works. It totally plays in that respect. Kind of out there. I know a lot of people ain't gonna catch that, but it's for who it's for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm still early on in that concept. So,
but you follow completely. You
right
there.
I follow. I can't add nothing. I can't add nothing to it.
Of course, you can always add, brother. Brick by brick is how we
to it, because I need to dig a little deeper.
We talked. Mill.
Let me tell you this. Let me say, hold on. Let me say this, man. Every structure that stands above ground was built brick by brick, son.
Yeah.
You can always add a brick on there. You know what I'm saying? When you want to. I'm not propositioning you to do it at your comfort level, man. But I know you got a lot to add on that one. Because I know you. Your wheels turning right now.
Yeah, I just don't. I think about it. Go ahead, El Nas.
One of the things that we talked about recently, Mill, was how when white men navigated seas, and they would come to places like America and even Alaska. There's different places that they consider to call themselves discovering. They always had a
They
black
discovered it.
man. They always had a black man that did the navigation for them. They always had a black man that knew how to read the stars. You know what I mean? Sun, moon, and stars. That, you know what I mean? That was able to make the journey possible. And you know, I made the comment like, you know, that's where we might have fucked up by creating them in the first place. But you know, we've given them the support that they needed.
This nigga pulling out globes, man.
Well, I just want y'all to see, man. It's until you look at the globe, right, and you see how small Europe is.
Wow.
Europe is this little section right here, man. It's this little tiny section on the map. I don't know if y'all can see this or not.
We can see it.
But
y'all flat earthers, it's only a prop.
Man, I don't care nothing about no flat earth. I'm telling you right here, that's how big Europe is, man.
Right.
With one finger, man.
Right.
This whole little area right here is Europe, man. Then look at Africa, right? Look at Africa. It's so I'm still trying to figure out how this little section of the globe has proliferated this whole damn globe, man.
Oh, simple. We talked about that earlier, man. You know,
how you do that, man?
You go in and create subdivision.
It's still a mystery to me. I'm still.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you dealing with how about this? You know, when you spit pure venom,
globe.
Still got every prop you can want, man. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for projector screen to drop down, cause you know what I'm saying.
Oh, man,
I have a pointer and shit.
I just wanted to just illustrate how small Europe is, man.
Absolutely, I think it's a necessary aid. You know what I mean? You know, if you can't connect to that visually, then you ain't looking.
And then you look at Africa, man.
Big place, right?
I remember it took me a while to grab this concept until I started looking at the globe. And we were talking about how the 1619 concept is such a piece of bullshit. If you look at Africa and then you look how close in terms of the waterways, how close South America is to Africa, you can't tell me that there was no crossings before 1619. You can't tell me that. It's such a small, the area between South America and Africa is that big.
Is it Ivan Van Sertima that wrote the book?
Yeah, before Columbus. Yeah, absolutely. That I need to get that. I've been. You try to get that off of Amazon, they want $1,000 for it, damn near. So I got to find a bookstore to get it, man.
I'll let my man Hakeem at Black and Noble, Black and Nobel. He might be able to get it for you.
Actually, you know what? I linked to his page. Yeah, I will look. But what I've done is I've listened on YouTube to somebody's reading a book, so I'm almost through it.
Yeah,
those are good too.
Yeah, and you probably can definitely get a PDF file as well, like just to have it on your computer.
But yeah, just stuff like that, man. When you see it visually, it blows away the whole concept of. So you think it took till 1619 to cross from this little waterway right here?
Nah, We are. There's so much
Well, you
evidence all
talking?
over the world.
Go ahead, son.
I was just gonna say, it's so much evidence that shows that Africans was traveling all over the globe, man, long before the Europeans. You know what I
You,
mean?
you just put up a post today about the original inhabitants of the Isles of Japan. That was
Yeah.
pretty dope. Yeah, I had to
Black,
do.
black people in Japan, black people in China.
Yeah, so Feek, for me, let's keep it a beam, man. Like, when you coming out of caves, man, and you're not even equipped or blessed with the knowledge how to cook your own food, or the fact that your food needs to be cooked. You know what I'm saying? I can't see this shit from here. Let me
I
go
can
do.
see it, man. Go ahead.
Right, I was trying to, give a better visual of Europe. You know what I'm saying? But I can't see. I gotta blow it back up. Anyway, you don't have a basic knowledge of how to build housing for lodging for yourself. How you gonna what you gonna swim to Africa? They didn't like water. You know what I'm saying? So how they gonna get there? Of course it took the 16, 19 for them to get there. They the last on the planet to do everything, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's no hate being spewed out like that. That's just history. So my question is quite like yours though. Like how did they maintain, how did they grab and maintain such a stronghold?
Well,
You know what
I
I mean?
mean, that's that. It's degrees, man. They have a very they've moved with a very destructive nature, where our nature is more about has seemed seemingly more about harmony, being more in tune. We're connected to nature, so we have no desire to shoot up the elephants for their tusks, kill the lions for trophies, or to just all out destroy humanity to get ahead. That's just not our nature. For them, I feel like they came into existence feeling like they was behind the eight ball. So it's all about whatever I got to do to get ahead. That's why they call it a race. You know what I mean? So for them, it's been all about if I got to kill, steal, destroy in order to get ahead, that's what I'll do. Us, we already feel that sense of divinity. So, as a people, as a culture, as a community, that's just hasn't been our nature. And only time it seems to become our nature is when our nature is manipulated, where we're operating in a toxic mindset. Then oftentimes that causes us to become destructive towards each other. You know what I mean? Based on poverty or whatever have you. But it's just not our general nature. I mean, when you see people killing animals for trophies, who do you see? I mean, when you look across the world and you see historically uh, people going in and running up in other people's lands and just raping them and killing them, who do you see? And if you see people that are non-white, you usually see them behind the curtain. You know what I mean? Like the Tutsi and the Hutus in Rwanda. That was black people killing black people for power. But who was behind it? Who instigated it? So it just seems to be that general nature to get ahead using manipulation, and we have yet to catch up to that. Really, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Rwanda's a very interesting analogy there.
Hey, I got a story about Rwanda, man. So before all this COVID stuff, man, I'm over my brother's house in Maryland, right? I think it was Thanksgiving, man. Before all this COVID stuff, we had a whole house full of folks. We were having a good time, drinking and whatnot. So it comes like it's mid afternoon, and we're like, all right, let's put a movie on. We put the wrong movie on, man. We put the Rwanda movie on, man.
Hotel Rwanda?
No, what's the other one?
Sometimes in April.
No, the one with Don Cheadle in it.
Hotel Rwanda.
Yeah, that's Hotel Rwanda.
Hotel. All right, I didn't hear what you said. Yeah, we put Hotel Rwanda in, man.
If you think Hotel Rwanda was happening,
listen, by the time it was over, I was like this. Oh, You know what I mean? I was like, it spoiled the whole everything, man. That whole air in the room was gone, man.
Yeah, that's a pungent flick, man. That's a very pungent flick to
took the whole everything
on a family day.
Yeah, that was a wrong decision.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something. If you think Hotel Rwanda was heavy, you gotta watch the joint called Sometimes in April. They aired it on HBO, and then they took that joint off real quick. That make Hotel Rwanda look like Sesame Street.
Yeah, Hotel Rwanda was definitely a glorified version of that genocide, man.
You seen Sometimes in April? You saw that?
I ain't see that yet, but I'm gonna peep it.
Okay.
I'm gonna peep that. You know what I mean? I gotta get in the right mind. I gotta get in the right mind space for that.
Yeah, I got it too.
I'm sure.
First than Hotel, because that took the whole air out of the whole room.
On family night, absolutely, yeah.
See, I didn't know nothing about. I didn't pick the movie, but I didn't know nothing about the movie either. That was the wrong movie.
Yeah, that's a heavy joint. That's a heavy joint. So what I remember about Hotel Rwanda, man, is just what you said. You know, it was a created separation because the Hutu and the Tutsi are basically, well, they are the same people. You know what I mean? And the white man came in there and used Yakub's graph theory, actually, Dred. You know what I'm saying? To people with keener features, they would force them to reproduce. People with heavier, thicker features, they would force them to reproduce. And that's how you got the two separate tribes. You know what I mean? And you know, that use of eugenics right there, man, on a very basic level, was able to create enough separation that you could fester hate. You know what I mean? That's kind of, and you do the same bloodline. It's wild.
Let me give y'all the trailer real quick. Sometimes in April, so you can get the idea of this joint. We on?
Yeah.
This is a story that got swept under the carpet.
We have to remember 1 million people died in 100 days.
This is going to be the first big movie about Rwanda.
I knew that somehow I had to make this film.
Hutus and Tutsi were living together forever.
Assistant Secretary, the rebel forces, are they Tutu or Hutsi?
Hutu and Tutsi.
Which ones are the good guys?
Can you imagine in '94 when you were being asked to cut that now, move on. You are you and you are you. We need to, and choose, because if you don't choose, you're going to get shot.
You want to help? Give him a machete. You don't waste bullets on cockroach traitors.
The particularity of the '94 genocide is that there was a Tran militia who were ready to once for all get rid of all Tutsis.
Hutus here, Tutsis there. Now,
the understanding that it was pervasive all over the country is insane.
I was interested in trying to explain the whole political background around a genocide. I was not interested in doing a sort of a Black Schindler List.
I play Captain Augustin Muganza, who is a soldier, a married man, has kids. Augustin is the storyline you kind of follow throughout the film.
I play Honoré Boutera. He's a journalist. He works for the Hutu extremist.
Augustin and Honoré are two brothers that love each other dearly, but they are forced apart by their opinions and their politics.
Are you talking about a coup?
Augustin, this is war.
In this movie, I'm playing Jeanne, so this is the wife of Augustine.
In '94, Augustin had asked his brother to take care of his family, and he never saw his family again.
I'm playing the part of a woman called Martine Kamanza, who is the girlfriend to the lead character, Augustin. As he's discovering himself, she's also beginning to try to come to terms with the events that happened to her.
This is a very tragic, almost Shakespearean situation, you know, this being torn between the love and the hate.
Rwanda's beautiful. They say that God built it, and this is where he comes to sleep.
It was not the easiest choice to shoot there, but I couldn't imagine shooting this film anywhere else. was not an easy situation sometimes for some of the people working with us.
Sometimes for me it's hard because I'm an artist. After that, then I can remember, oh, it's a movie.
I understood every character in that script because I've lived it.
I have to preserve myself, I know. I have to take distance because I'm not talking about a story so far from me.
I wanted to show how it was about real people.
We now present you the Kigali premiere of Sometimes in April. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy.
I just wanted to give y'all a piece of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's super heavy right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that because I need to add that to my mental space.
Yeah,
I've seen another HBO did another show on that. It was a lot more, I guess, tamer as well. I forget it right off the top of my head. But yeah, the story is. You know what, Mel? I need to explore what you said too about the Yakub graph too. About how they separated. It sounds like you said by skin color and.
It wasn't really skin color. It was just more feature based.
Features.
Yeah, because I mean, it ain't like you had a whole lot of different complexions in Rwanda.
Okay, so
I mean, so it was more just like a feature thing, as I remember it. You know, the ones who had more lean or keener features. Like
they separate them by their nose,
right?
Skinny noses versus broad noses, by the lips,
yeah,
by your skin tone, and ones who had features that were more in tune with white people as far as the slender noses and things like that. Those are the ones they gave power to in society. And so the ones that were darker with more Negroid features obviously were subjected to more impoverished conditions. So they did this, then they backed out, they left. You know what I mean? It was like, all right, now we're giving y'all independence. But they left behind this class structure. So when they left, they also left behind weapons. So they gave weapons to the Hutus. You know what I mean? And those were the people that didn't have the power, but they had the weapons. So they backed out. So now their hands is clean. They gave up the weapons. And the Hutus like, fuck it, we've been suffering. We've been living shitty and y'all been living like rich folks. So now we just gonna kill all y'all. Divide and conquer. Meanwhile, the French who instigated all of this was raping them of their natural resources, which is what it was all about in the first place.
Yeah, the movie that I was looking for, that's why I was looking down. Black Earth Rising talks about that too.
Black Earth Rising.
Black Earth Rising is another story about that same the Tutsis and the Rwandans. It's deep, man. It's deep. Yeah, Black Earth Rising is pretty good too, but it doesn't get really graphic like what we was about to see there, where he was about to hack his head off, whatever.
I kind of remember that scene, man, for some reason.
Probably show that too. Did they show it graphically?
Listen, when I tell you that made Hotel Rwanda look like Sesame Street, the trailer I just showed you, they was being nice in that trailer. Movie, that joint gonna have you shedding a tear by the end of the movie. It's that type of joint.
Okay. You don't get none of that in Black Earth Rising, but you get the idea behind it.
You know what else was a kind of crazy joint a little bit? Tears of the Sun.
Yeah.
On that same type of time, man. That was kind of crazy too. I can't remember what region it was actually shot in.
I think that was Somalia.
Somalia.
Yeah. But yeah, that's
ethnic cleansing, man. Whew, to drop that kind of poison, man. You know what I'm saying? And then, pull back and just watch it all unfold. What kind of mind are you working with there? I would venture to say the same kind of mind that you're working with that you released biological weapons into society today with aims of taking out certain demographics.
Right.
You know, with aims of population control. I would think it's the same devilish mindset. You know what I mean? So, wow. Maybe the French are responsible for COVID-19 now. That was a joke. Ain't nobody get that?
I get it. I get it because I get it.
Bill Gates is really a French guy, huh? That's what's happening.
Yeah. But still, man, I mean, I look at this globe, man, and I see like such a small section of the globe, man.
Yeah, let me pull this up again.
It's deep, man. So
yeah,
it's like
sure I'm in the right place.
It's a mindset.
This is Europe right around here?
Nature.
Is that Europe right around there?
I can't see where you're pointing at, bro.
Oh, right. Yeah, that makes sense. Right there.
Yeah, it's like behind you. Yeah, I see it.
Right.
Yeah, you so, right in that area.
That little place right there, that little section right there.
Right above Africa. You see it, Spain, Turkey. Yeah.
Is that where I wonder where Neanderthals actually come from?
Caucasus Mountains.
Caucasus Mountains. Yeah. I'm pretty sure all that plays as well.
So yeah,
definitely plays.
Yeah.
What you mean? That's their culture in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
clever like a fox I am sometimes, Dre. You know that. I mean, the people need to know. And all the times I don't have the words to tell them, so I need y'all to help me out sometimes. You know what I mean?
Let me give y'all one more joint that I think you should check out, man. I'm not even gonna give it an introduction. I'm just going to give it to you.
You want to hit it like that?
Yeah.
I guess y'all better buckle up then.
Yeah, I think this is something you should definitely get into.
Slick already.
中に無限の資源が眠っている。
彼らセイバンは酒でも買いに行かせてやればそれで喜んでいますよ。
Nisa pakimu, usenosu, pares diso-san.
Aku viseno ko bale saya tungan.
Tu bunuh tali!
Yeah, I remember seeing an intro for that joint. I never watched it though. Is the whole thing subtitled?
Yeah, but it's so way you won't even realize you reading by time you get into it, man. That joint.
Pause, man. I grew up watching karate movies.
That joint heavy.
You
already, you with me. You with me. Yeah, I'm with you.
I grew up watching karate movies.
That joint is a must watch, man. That's another one that's gonna hit your heart, man. You might shed a tear or two by the end of that one.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, man. I'm gonna say this. On the tip of science about Europeans, man. The Last Samurai.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Well, just in terms of how they try to operate, you know what I mean? The Last Samurai was crazy, dude. When I boycotted the shit out of that movie, because in my head I'm thinking they're gonna project Tom Cruise as the Last Samurai, and that wasn't the case at all.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, that wasn't the case at all.
You had a problem with Tom Cruise, or?
No, I had a problem with the concept of a white man being the Last Samurai. But that was a surface observation I made. And after I watched the movie, man, I was pleasantly surprised. And I honestly, in that flick, man, they go into the white man's infiltration into the Americas, and how they went in and tried to put separate tribes against other different tribes and shit, man. Same thing you were just talking about, you know, how they go in there with these concepts, man, pull out and then supply on one side. But ain't it the same thing they doing in Chicago? And the same thing they doing in the streets of America right now?
You're right.
Same science?
Same science, yo.
It's crazy.
You got gang members in Chicago talking about how they went in the alley and there was a whole case of crate of guns just sitting in the alley.
Listen, man, I heard during the pandemic in Philly, right? This bugged me out. They said they had like a crib, man, off somewhere down north, right? That was just something like motherfucker had a line waiting to come to this crib and buy illegal guns and shit. You know what I mean? Like motherfucker was just like going to get like a cheese line and going to get, you know, guns, man. Like, it's crazy, guys. What's the name of that joint? Warriors of the Rainbow?
Yes. Must watch. You're gonna be so thankful you did, man. That joint is heavy.
I can see already.
Yeah, I'm writing it down myself.
I can see already that the joint is heavy. You know what I mean? Well, you know, I like flicks like that, man, for the science of the movie. You know what I mean? You know, because like, and that's what kind of makes it hard for me to understand why these same tactics still work. Like, I mean, they've been doing the same fucking shit, and it's still working. 2021, they can still get niggas to kill each other. It's a killing fest going on right now in Philadelphia, bro. Shit is ridiculous how many people in Philly getting killed right now, man.
Every single day I'm hearing about it.
A lot of them, man. This was a hard summer. This was a hard year for murders in Philadelphia, man. I mean, me personally, man, some of the people that got killed, guys, I was like, wow. Ain't nothing secret. Ain't nobody safe. You know what I mean? An insane trend popped up, man, it seems like, man. Now they killing or going after cats that's, you know, trying to live right. Young boys that ain't really in the streets, running the streets with the guns and all that shit. They the ones started getting killed, man. Like they was hunting them out. Like, man, it seemed like that shit was kind of crazy to me, guys. And nobody's getting caught. Nobody knows what happened. Nobody knows who did what.
You know what it sounds like, man? Psychosis.
Wow, how about that, Dred? That's one of the topics that started all this, ain't it?
Yeah.
Do black people suffer from a psychosis?
Psychosis. I mean, we stuck in the house. Most of us anyway. Children not going to school. We got parents, you know, maybe they working from home, maybe they're not. They ain't happy. Well, we got a real issue right now, man. Psychosis, man. Like you said, the young boys that's not even in the game is getting killed. So yeah, it's a psychosis, man. For real, man. Hard question though is what do you do about it? Like you said, what do you do?
Many more will have to suffer. Many more will have to die. Don't ask me why.
Yeah.
It's a natural mystic flowing in the air. That's Bob Marley once again.
And it is. You know, that's who lyrics need to be taught.
That's what I'm saying. I learned more from.
Yeah, no disrespect to nobody else, man, but I haven't seen too many people. I ain't seen nobody on that level, bro.
Except his peers. Peter Tosh, Bunny Wailer, you know what I mean?
Lyrically, yes.
Yeah.
Lyrically, yes, but he wasn't on Bob level. They're his teachers, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the level, man. That's where he got it from. I mean, let's be clear.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. No disrespect to Peter Tosh, Bunny Wailer, no respect to none of them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because without them, there would be no Bob.
That's right. Like you said, they were his teachers.
Facts. You know what I mean? And having said that, man, like, you know, the way Bob brought it, man, you know, it was, oh, man. You know, I found myself knowing the lyrics to Bob Marley songs that I never even knew. So they just kind of creep into your head subconsciously, man, and make a connection to you. And it's like almost like the second time you hear the song, you know all the words. Like,
yeah, I'm still amazed by that. You see how I'm spitting Bob lyrics?
Yeah.
I never sat down and tried to memorize none of his songs. I'm amazed by the fact that his lyrics is in my head like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just resonate. And I don't have the best of memory. You know how that go.
Do I? So we're going to give it to him one more time, man. One of the most amazing artists, man, you know, the world has ever seen, man. And that's probably why Bob ain't with us now.
I tell you what,
antibiotic.
When me and my wife went to Jamaica, it was my first time, and we haven't been back. I mean, with all this nonsense and everything. Man, that was the most fun I ever had learning about the Jamaican culture, man. And while you said there's no more Bob Marleys, but look at his seeds though, man. His seeds are special human beings as well, man. The Marley clan is serious, man.
Yeah. I'm a huge Damien and Steven fan, man.
I was about to say I gotta give it up to Steven, yo.
Yeah, Steven by far.
You know,
so Junior Gong though, you can't front on Junior Gong, son. It's a different type of music with Damien, but message wise, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like listening to Bob from a message perspective, man. But like this flat out, Stephen Marley, hands down.
Yeah, he embodied the spirit of Bob on a whole nother level. Like
so did Damien though.
They all do.
That's what I'm trying to say. Y'all
I ain't too crazy about Ziggy, man.
You know, like there can only be one.
I don't know what kind of stuff Ziggy be on sometimes.
You know, like there can only be one, man. My point is, man, when we went over there as we were learning their culture, and we were only there for a week. Man, that was the most fun I had learning their culture, man, and hanging out with them.
So
it's awesome culture, man. Awesome culture.
I'm gonna go ahead and segue this to Dre. Why don't you tell them your story about going to Jamaica, son? Where you wound up at?
Which story? You talking about when I went to where Bob was born up in the mountains?
There you go.
In Nama? Yeah, I mean, I got a few different stories. Huh?
Yeah, you was running with the Marley clan, wasn't you?
I crossed paths with the family a couple times. Most recently, I crossed paths with the family in Philly. Me and my son, my Marley granddaughter tried to holler at my son, but my son wasn't hip at the time. You know what I mean?
Which one?
That's which granddaughter?
No, what son?
Huh? Oh, Miles.
Which son?
Miles.
Miles got the fucking juice, man.
Yeah, Miles got the juice.
Miles got the fucking juice, man.
Yeah, but
I gotta start hanging with Miles. Miles, hit me up, Miles. Miles, goddamn.
Yeah.
Take me out. Let me swing out with you, bro.
Yeah, his granddaughter was on his heels. I'm like, Miles, you don't peep what's going on? Like, you know how Miles is, man.
Yeah, my man. My guy.
Yeah, man, I went up.
I want to hang out with you, Miles. Real rap. My bad.
Yeah. Miles will get you in the door.
I'm trying to tell you.
But we was up. I went to a place called 9 Mile. 9 Mile is thousands and thousands and thousands of feet up in the air on this mountain top. It's fucking ridiculous. I will never go there again unless I take a helicopter or some shit. Like, so you gotta drive up this mountain first of all. I can't even put in the words, man. If you ever seen like any of these memes on Facebook or something where you got these like little ass, teeny ass lanes, you know what I mean, on a mountain, there's no guardrail or nothing. It's not even a paved street. You're just on a mountain, and so you can look out the window, and all you see is thousands of feet down. Meanwhile, it's a two-way street, so as cars coming the other way, we gotta edge into the side of the mountain to let the other car go by. This shit is the craziest experience I ever had in my life that I'd never look forward to doing it again. I'm glad I did it once, because when you get to the top of the mountain, that's where Bob Marley is born. He was born and where he was raised as a child before he moved down Kingston and Trenchtown and all that. So up at the top of the mountain, they preserved it. So they got his bedroom. You know, I sat in his bedroom, filled up their smoke and all that. And that's where they got all the major plantations up there too for weed, right? Because there's no government up there. There's no ops, no nothing. You fall off that mountain, it's just a wrap for you. Anything that goes on up there just goes on up there, right? So I get up there, and in the place where they got Bob Marley, his house and all that's gated off. So they tell you once your car pulled into the gate, don't go outside the gate for nothing, because you get jacked up there real quick. But me being me, I was like, fuck that. I want to go out and see the plantations. They got weed growing taller than me. You know what I mean? Just surrounded. If you ever been in the cornfield, just picture that, but it's actually weed. So I'm like, nah, I'm not missing this for the world. So when I got up there and I jumped out my car, it was like being a celebrity. You know what I'm saying? Everybody come running up to you because they never seen nobody like me before. They seen a couple white folks come up there, but you know what I mean? So everybody come running up to me, giving me gifts, putting stuff in my hands and all that. They giving me weed, they giving me hash, they giving me all kind of stuff. I go walk around the plantation. Now this is where it get edgy. I'm about to leave. And now when I'm about to leave, it's a whole gang outside blocking the gate, just with machetes and weapons and shit, just standing there, right? So I'm up there with my wife, you know what I mean? And then the guys that drove me up there, I noticed they was scared. And they from Jamaica. And they drove me up there. So I'm like, if they scared, it must be a problem. You know what I mean? So the one boy who was the leader of the gang was like, all right, you owe us some money. I'm like, how I owe you money? He was like, yo, we gave you weed. We walked you around. Mind you, I done spent crazy money up there already. You know what I mean? And I'm spending money on some keep change type shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yo, what you mean I owe you money? So I'm looking at the boys that drove me up there. They scared as shit. I'm looking at my wife. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, here we go. So I told this boy, I said, yo, walk with me, right? You know what I mean? I wanted to separate him from the rest of his gang. So whatever I said didn't come off like I was trying to humiliate him. You know what I mean? So I said, walk with me behind this building real quick. And I told him, I said, listen, man, I said, I'm from the same conditions you from. You know what I mean? Right now, y'all got the drop on me. But I swear to God, I'm going down with a rumble. So we going to step back behind this wall and it's on. You know what I'm saying? So my thought process is like, soon as we step from behind this wall, I'm going in, right in his jaw, bang, bang. You know what I mean? I knew I was going to take an L that day, but I wasn't going down without a fight. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Right.
So when I expressed that, he was like, nah, it's cool, just chill. You know what I mean? So he called his boys off and they let us ride out. You know what I mean? Now we ride out, we get halfway down the mountain, and it's a little kid laying in the middle of the road. So we can't drive because he laying in the middle of the road. So you know, he laying there like he dead. So everybody in the car like, yo, it's a little kid in the road dead. So we ready to, I'm like, yo, I'm thinking we get ready to pull over, see what's wrong with him. And the boy driving me is like, no, don't get out the car. Whatever you do. So
yeah, that sounds like a setup.
Set up like a motherfucker. So we slow down, you know what I mean? And next thing you know, somebody come running to the side of the car. They had a gun or something. He pull around the young boy. You know what I mean? Shit crazy. We just shot out of there real quick. All I'm saying is that it was the most dangerous shit I've it was one of the most dangerous experience. Yeah, it was definitely the most dangerous thing I've ever done in my life, man. I mean, right. It was worth it to do it that one time. I probably wouldn't.
That shit is burned in your brain. You gotta imprint that shit.
So when they say stay in the tourist section, that's why. All this talk about Jamaica, man, y'all making me want to burn, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm gonna chill though. We
gotta
get this.
That was a good time, man. We got out. We got off the reservation or whatever, the ranch, and we got out, man. And we got to see the countryside. And
got to, man.
I got a question for one of y'all, man. I'm sorry, Feek. Go ahead, finish, Feek. My bad.
Yeah, so it was good, man. It was good to get out there and see a whole land of people, man, that look just like us, man. The one thing that surprised me, though, but then again, it's not so surprising, is that I thought going in that they controlled their land. That they don't. That's English land.
Chinese now.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely becoming Chinese. Yeah, that's what they said too.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely.
Chinese. They influx like some bitch in South Africa too, man.
So yeah.
Chinese, boy. They come like the Wu for real. Yeah. When they come, they don't stop. So I got an interesting question.
All right.
Have any of y'all ever been on a Native American reservation?
I have not.
Shit, what you mean? We live on one. North Philly, South Philly, West Philly.
We don't get the stipend though, bro. We ain't get the stipend.
You saying we ain't getting that kind of money for nothing?
They won't let us be Indians, man. Yeah, man.
It's funny, man, that you talk about that, man, because I'm finishing up this book now, man. I'm trying to pull it up. I'm
never gonna catch up to you, man.
Man, listen, man. I try to just make good use of my time, man.
I hear that, bro. That's a whole nother slice of discipline right there, bro.
Name of the book is Killers of the Flower Moon, man.
Okay.
What?
Killers of the Flower Moon. It's about the native folks out there in Oklahoma getting their land taken from them. Killers of the Flower Moon by David Grann. It's a deep read, man. I'm listening to the audio book. I'm in the last stages of it.
They got a movie too.
Yeah, I think they do have a movie, man. But this book is this audio book. It's deep, man.
Yeah.
It's deep.
DiCaprio and Robert De Niro in it.
Killers of the Flower Moon, yeah.
For some reason, that don't seem like it's gonna be about Indians.
This one is Killers of the Flower Moon, the Osage Murders, and the Birth of the FBI.
The Osage Murders. What's Osage?
Let me just pull it up, man, so y'all can see.
That's move.
Of FBI Osage documents.
Avenue.
The Osage Murders. I thought you were gonna do some screen share shit.
Oh, that's a different Osage. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, it was Osage County. It's a county in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Who knew? Osage is a Native American word. Who knew that?
Yeah, I mean, Philly, that's how Philly is set up. Tioga, Ontario.
About that, right? About that, right?
Philly. This whole tri-state. Delaware.
Right.
Delaware is a Native American word.
Yeah, Lenape.
It's a tribe, right?
Yeah. They got a Lenape, New Jersey, too. I think it's in Lenape, New Jersey.
You can't drive down 95 without coming across all these different Native American names for rivers and
you can't do it down 76 either.
Right.
Potomac.
The Schuylkill.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just, but yeah, whenever y'all get a chance, man, that it shows you the level of what you're working with, man. You gotta.
What's that one? Y'all got a whole list over here. Flowers or what?
This is Killers of the Flower Moon, the Osage murders, and the birth of the FBI.
The Flower Moon. That's cool because I've been looking for some new media, man.
Oh
in
yeah,
my downtown, man. These lectures, man, been having me spinning, man. Malcolm got me ready to, do some crazy shit. What is it again, Feet? It's
Killers of the Flower Moon.
No. It's a cruel jest to tell a bootless man to pull himself up by his own bootstraps.
What makes it funny, right? I mean, for the people, right? What makes it funny is Martin is standing he's standing in a church, right? And he's talking to a guy, and the guy is below him. So he's talking to the guy like this, and he has like this look on his face, like as he's saying this, like, it's a cruel jest. You know what I mean? To tell man, a bootless man at that.
A bootless man. Well, in his drawl and just the seriousness of his face, man, when he said it, man. Like, man, that floored me, man.
Yeah.
Like he just got it. Like, you know what I mean? It just resonated in him. He was like, it's a cruel.
The one thing that I see, man, a lot, and we talked about it a little bit when we talked about Baldwin and how he got fed up with the white liberals. You know, Malcolm talks about white liberals as well. He really talks about it in his Ballad of the Bullet speech. But what I find is that white liberals are not very much different than white conservatives. When I say that, what I mean is at a level, the white liberals will do some things. They will help you out. They will facilitate some things, as like they did with Booker T, and also with W.E.B. Du Bois. They'll give you money to create your institutions. They'll give you finances and all those things. But they don't want you to reach so high, whereas though you get over top of that level. Now, the conservative, they don't care about none of that. They don't care how you feel. None of that. So they're still cousins though, because the same thing. They're gonna destroy whatever you try to build. So there's a level of insincerity.
Very good choice of words. Very good choice of words.
There's a level of insincerity, man, when you're dealing. So
it's good.
It goes back to what Ellen Oz was saying earlier too, in terms of damn, I lost my train of thought. But you talked about levels, and there's just certain levels on this landmass that some people are uncomfortable with you attaining. There's an attainment max. You know what I mean?
All these terms. Man.
I need you right here, buddy. Oh well, I'm up here though. Well, I'm gonna knock you back down here, then, buddy. Get back down.
Attainment max.
Yeah, man. Exactly.
Wow.
It's just a level, man, that they're comfortable with. Get above that level gotta knock it down a little bit. Man.
A little bit.
W.B. Du Bois died like he died like old boy, man. Michael Corleone alone.
Yeah. Well, you know what was interesting about W.E.B. Du Bois, man? Towards the end of his life, he wound up joining the Communist Party, right? He became a communist towards the end of his life.
Well, first of all, he wasn't here in the country anymore.
Exactly. Well, they said that decision was basically a thumb. Like he thumbed, you know.
Well, he said there would be no level of freedom for black people over here. So he decided to do the same thing that Baldwin did.
Right.
Roll out.
I mean, hold up. What's crazy about that? I see that same thing with you talked about Ball. I mean, it's just crazy how later on in their life they come to the realization
because they try to play the game.
The very thing they was going against.
They try to play the game.
Martin did it with Malcolm. You know what I mean? They tried to pit them against each other. Then later, Martin realized, wait, Malcolm was on to something. You know what I'm saying? Like.
And when Malcolm realized that about the nation, they killed his ass. When he realized he made a mistake, they iced his ass too. That was what probably the most powerful coalition that was about to be formed. You know what I mean? Because they all realized that they had a common thread.
And that's why I say, like, everything when we talk about how to galvanize the people. Everything that could be done has been at least attempted. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that we really can do at this stage is better ourselves. Focus on bettering ourselves. But the problem is defining what that means. We have to extend the definitions of what it means to better ourselves beyond what we've been taught.
There you go. Now we back at the talented 10th. See how they work? You know what I'm saying? So I look at it really, man, I've been giving this some thought, man. And I look at the talented 10th as a multifaceted brainchild. You know, I think it's a talented 10th, and everything that we do, there should be a talented 10th.
I mean, my thing is there should be a talent to everybody.
That's my point. That's my point. Fuck the 10%, man. This is, you know what I'm saying? You know,
it's too limiting, man.
Let's just call it true alchemy, man. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna pull up what I said on because I was talking with a couple people about this, man, and I
got in that a little bit, man. I got in that conversation a little bit.
I want to pull it up because I think it's important, man. I felt this, man. So we talked about the talent, and everybody was kind of skating around it, I think.
Not everybody.
Okay, here we go. I said, what I've learned about this concept is, well, I was saying it was similar to what this guy was saying, but yes, the 80-20 or 90-10 rule applied as enslaved men and women began the hard process of bootstrapping themselves against grave odds. Those 80/90 adopted patterns of segregation taught to them by proximity, though. Fraternities, sororities, churches, Freemasonry, armed service, government service, et cetera, are some of the institutions that built the so-called Black elite. This was happening while built-in systems prevented equal access to American freedoms for Black people as a whole. And I said I cut my comment short rather than writing a book, but F the concept is really what I'm saying in the nutshell. Basically, right. You know what I mean?
Right. The concept is just, you know, it's hard to get away from that elitist mindset with that concept.
Yeah, it's
almost like it's like, you know,
it's limiting, man. It's limiting. I'm up here eating. I'm up here chilling. I look down the street, you struggling, and I'm cool with that. Or they down there struggling.
Or I might just pass you some turkeys on Thanksgiving and call it a day.
Where did that come
Yeah, bro.
However, it's completely apropos. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they find these small pockets of philanthropy, man, and stand on it as a gesture of grandeur.
As if that those turkeys during the holidays or whatever,
it's gonna fix.
It's gonna feed you through the year, right?
Yeah, exactly. You ain't gotta buy food no more. Like we gave you turkeys, like you know what I'm saying. I've always had a problem with shit
you like
that.
this. Oh well, we gave them turkeys on Thanksgiving. Like that's good, right? Oh, you good with that?
And my question would be, why the hell are we what the hell are we celebrating Thanksgiving for? Is my question. You know what I mean?
That's a whole nother.
That's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing, man.
That's
great. Another thing, but yeah,
I'm ready to be shit in the toilet because Valentine's Day is coming. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to be shit floating in the toilet because Valentine's Day coming, bro. And I just don't subscribe. I can't, man. I can't.
We got it rough out here when you start realizing the truth, man. Shit get rough, yo.
Yeah, you know, the Queen Mother made mention to that last week, man. One thing that we could do, and I'm glad it came from her. You know what I mean? One thing that we could definitely do is withdraw from the celebrations of these holidays. Economic
if we do
impact.
that, guess how much wealth we'll save?
Economic impact.
Economically, we'll save millions every year.
Billions, bro. Well, maybe not billions, but definitely.
Yeah, I would say a billion is a lot.
I don't know, man. Niggas is fly right now, bro. Got some people still got a little bit of pandemic money left.
Definitely billions. That's without a doubt. That's not even in question.
Yeah, I'm going billions. I'm going
over a year. Let's just take 1 year. 1 year.
$1 billion easy.
Easily, man. Come on, you talking about? Are you talking about nationally or internationally? Because either way,
I'm just talking about nationally. Here. If we're talking about internationally, yeah.
And you talking about the whole year and all of the holidays in a year?
Whole year.
Oh man, that's billions easily.
Let me just say this.
Christmas alone is come on, man. Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day,
4th of July.
4th of July.
Okay, all right. I'm a numbers guy. I'm
you talking about tens of millions of people in the country spending
millions.
Countless, right? Exactly, maybe hundreds of millions. Spending countless denominate like we're not talking about $1 a piece. If it was $1 a piece, you still would be in the billions. You know what I'm saying? We talking about people spending hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Okay, so your numbers down, right?
Hundreds of millions of people.
Let's keep just the black people. Your numbers guy, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I ain't talking about nobody else. If we talking about everybody, that's $1 billion easy. Yeah, I
got you. So, well, you know, we extravagant as hell, first of all. Second of all, you know, niggas wear red bottoms and live in project houses. But, you know, they do. You know, that's what we do. Right. You know what I'm saying?
That's another show as well.
Right. So my thing is this, man, right? Realistically, what are we, 42 million strong here in America? Right?
All right, let's go with that. All right, I'm gonna put down 42.
What's the average cost of a Valentine's Day?
I mean, see, with that, you even got to...
Hold on, son. What's the average? You gonna spend $100, $200, $300 on Valentine's Day? That's light work, right?
All right. So you got me. I'm starting off early. I'm February 14th.
Right. So you know, let's just set the bar at $200.
$200.
And we can't count
the hotel. That's the hotel room alone.
So let's say five.
I say 5. Okay, I'll try to be generous. Out of the 42 million, how many people spending money? Safe to say.
Let's go half.
20? 21?
That's half. Yeah.
21 million times 5 is what? What'd that give you?
Yeah, we getting close. We getting close.
Right.
That's only one.
And you just talking.
That's not even.
And y'all just.
Go ahead, cuz.
Y'all just counting the working class. You ain't even counting wealthy black people.
We kind of total population.
Can afford this.
We're playing the talented 10th here, bro.
Right, but what I'm saying is wealthy black people, when they buy a gift, they can afford to say, "Here, sweetheart, I bought you a car for Valentine's Day." You know what I'm saying? People spend.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And if you got a good job, if you really getting money on a good job, making at least 6 figures, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, hotel room, you know, when I check the prices on the hotel room, for a nice hotel room on Valentine's Day, you spending like $500 a night on one of them nice couples type rooms. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's if you pre-book.
Yeah.
All right, I just did some quick numbers.
We
I just did some quick numbers. We got about 20 holidays in a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we over $1 billion. My bad. yeah, we over.
We over put it in perspective, right?
We over $1 billion.
I started thinking about it.
Yeah,
about 20 holidays.
Like
everybody, regardless of whatever they are, they kind of celebrate in a way.
Let me just say this: how much is the PlayStation 5? How much does that cost?
That's like
$500 to $1,000.
Like $500, right? Yeah, we cracking $1 billion on Jesus' birthday.
Yeah, Christmas, you already over $1 billion on Christmas alone.
Shut it down. That's the economy of a small country. That's the economy of a small country, guys. You understand what I'm saying?
Thanksgiving, you over $1 billion alone just in food shopping.
Well, they got them free turkeys though.
That ain't even that ain't even talking about airfare and transportation, people traveling to different places. Yo, it's
lodging again.
$1 billion. So you take that $1 billion and you times it by how many years? What? Since 1900s? Over 100 years?
If you're being generous.
I'm going to be generous.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's substantial. That's a substantial amount of wealth.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, yeah. At the end of the day, if money alone was the solution to our problems would be solved. Clearly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know what? I've actually thought that for a long time as well, man. We suffer from we said it's psychosis. Proximity.
I got to redefine proximity.
Yeah, so.
Give us that word before we close out. Give us that word that you gave us that you started out with earlier. I want to.
Pigmentocracy.
What's the definition?
That's a hell of a word, man.
Do you really need that?
Man, let me pick up the definition. I was paraphrasing it, man, but it's deep, man.
Yeah, I looked it up yesterday, son.
You looked it up yesterday too.
You hit me with that yesterday. I was like, pigmentocracy.
Yeah, we was hollering about it, man.
Yeah, that is self-explanatory.
The only reason why I came in contact with the word because I was reading about the brother that was over. He was in England, but here it is right here. Government by or social hierarchy of those with a certain skin tone, regardless of race or social economic status. Another one is it's pretty similar. A system of social or class distinction based on skin color. A society based on such a system, the dominant group in such a society. So, pigmentocracy, man. It's mostly associated with people of color who have different hues, like us, Latin Americans.
So
any people that have different shades of color.
You know I can't resist this, right? Y'all know where I'm getting ready to go, right? Let me set the stage before I go there. I got a classic example of pigmentocracy. You know what I mean?
Oh, you trying to pull it up?
Classic, bro. I'm sorry, y'all gotta work with me.
Man, I ain't know it was so late, man. We just be gabbing.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's good stuff though, man.
Oh, damn it, I lost it.
It's all right, Bill. We'll get it on the next one, man.
Yeah, no, I wanted to.
I was about to say save it for next week.
Yeah, I wanted to pull up that mosaic again, man.
Yeah,
But
we'll
I got to go through too much to recreate that. That mosaic of Kamala Harris. She is the classic example of pigmentocracy.
Yeah. I get you. Well, again, brothers, it's been a pleasure, man.
Likewise. Hell of a freestyle tonight.
Yeah,
we freestyled our ass off.
I want to say in closing, man, that there's great value in the words that we speak, you know, and the power. They say that God created the universe with words, you know what I mean? The Bible talks about that. And, it's just, I think by speaking our truth and telling our story, I think it was it Maya Angelou that said, if you don't tell your story, no, that was Zora Neale Hurston that said, if you don't tell your story, they'll kill you and say you enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's great.
It's a hell of a one. I think you put that up, right? You put that up in not too long.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a, yeah.
So I think there's great value in us reclaiming our divinity as gods and guardians of this earth in the words that we speak in terms of telling our story and giving our interpretation. It's easy for us to overlook the value of that, but having conversations like these are very valuable. I think it has the ability to influence our thinking, to reinforce our thought process, and also to create vibrations in the atmosphere that can move things on an unseen level. You know what I mean? I think it's great value in having these conversations, which is why I think that there's so many challenges in terms of being able to even come to this point and have these type of conversations. So this conversation in particular exceeded my expectations. I really didn't know, what we were going to get into tonight. You know what I mean? Like you said, we freestyled a lot of this, but this work we put in when the camera is off makes it so much easier when we come and the camera is on. So I look forward to next week, man.
Absolutely. I'll say this in closing, man. That's a humble brother in the middle, man. That damn Ramil, boy. That Ramil something else, man. He facilitates a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate him, man. We had several conversations that were very fruitful. And when we come on here, whether it's a freestyle, we have something very organized, the ideas are already in motion.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get on here, however organic it is, we still got some type of organization in or framework so that we can talk to everybody can understand the message we're trying to get out. So I appreciate you, Mel.
No doubt. Cheers.
Next Thursday, 8 o'clock.
Brother.
Yeah, let me get this in real quick, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody appreciate you two guys more than me, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful thing when a thought process blossoms, man, into fruition. So, I love this ride, man. Absolutely, no doubt. You know what I'm saying? I want to say something about what you said about
Man, we about to get on out of here, man.
It's gonna be quick. It's gonna be quick.
Get to bed, bro.
God damn. It's gonna be quick, man. I think. All right, fuck it, man.
Go ahead, make your point, man. Make your point, man.
It's cool. Nigga made me lose my train of thought, man.
we losing our damn eyes, man.
No, realistic. Like we spoke. At first, there was the word. You know what I'm saying? I think that goes so misunderstood. I think that goes so misunderstood. To me, it just speaks of sound and vibration that permeates everything. You know what I'm saying? So what we doing here, man, is we sending out some positive vibrations, and it's just dope, man. Much like yourselves, I'm looking for next week, man. That was it.
Word. Next Thursday, 8 o'clock.
I look forward to it.
Peace to the gods.
One, brother.
Jen! That's the last one.